Hey folks, Shad here. Boy, it's been a while, huh? What, a year maybe? Sorry about that. A lot of things happened. In a misguided attempt to try to get our productivity up, I told Razor I wasn't going to do any more editing on these things unless I had a finished thumbnail first. We agreed on that. Then we started playing Batman games for like half a year, and he kept putting it off. So it turns out maybe my editing these things first and then leaving the onus on him to finish it up is maybe a better idea. But then a lot of other things happened. To me. Displacement, nervous breakdowns, heartbreak, and, losing someone very special to me. Who gave my life meaning. So, because of that, it's taken me a while to get to finishing this thing off. But it was something I had to do, myself, for my own reasons. Maybe you'll understand once you listen. This episode was recorded long before the surprisingly really enjoyable Mortal Kombat 2 movie came out. So there's unfortunately no discussion about Sindel's portrayal in that movie by Anatu Nguyen. For the record though, we think she did a great job, looked pretty awesome, and we do commend the filmmakers for making her powers look really cool. We're not quite sure what to make of her appearance later in the film after the Sonya fight though, where she appears to be some kind of brain-damaged zombie that needs to wear a gimp mask. It really stands out as weird. Like, she's already dead, so they think her body can't die again? Maybe? Is there a deleted scene that kind of adds some context to that? Maybe, I hope? Too many questions, as Razor likes to say. Anyhow, wait's over. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to The Lost. It's that time. The time you've been waiting for. The time when we cover Sindel in MK11, MK12 / MK1 / M1K / Monkey.
I think 11, then 12, then Onslaught, right?
Yeah, that too. All those things you want to hear. All of our hate, leading to anger, leading to suffering, leading to the dark side. You know, the good stuff. And Tabmok too.
Are they looking forward to that? Would I be looking forward to that? I don't in their shoes. I don't know.
I feel like it's what the people want. You know?
They do kind of enjoy our suffering, don't they?
There's a certain tendency to feed on rage, and there certainly is enough of that to go around. Although, not as much as some might think. No, some parts of what we're about to cover tonight have been very kind to our queen.
That is a thing. When we get into MK12, she's actually one of the very, very few characters who actually kind of turned out okay in that game. I have this real dread in my heart about, like, how are we going to handle talking about 12 when we review other characters in the future? Because it was much easier to do it for Sindel. And I guess, fortunately, a lot of the characters who are in 12 are characters we've already done, and we're not going to go back. We're not going to do, Johnny Cage Part 3 or whatever it would be, at least not anytime soon. So I don't have to worry about it for most of them.
And a lot of the characters that we haven't even covered yet aren't even in MK12.
Yeah.
Or they are, and they're completely unrecognizable.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like, when we get to Nitara, was Nitara in 12 really? I don't know if she was. That was somebody else.
Warm blood.
Well, we do Havoc. Do we cover 12 in the Havoc episode, or is that part of the Dairu episode? Because technically that wasn't Havoc, it was Dairu.
I mean, there were two of them. We're not going to talk about either one. Nobody fucking cares about that game.
It's fucked up, man.
Alright, let's get started.
Okay.
Now it's time for the reckoning. The moment you've all been waiting for. The moment we've been waiting for.
Should I put the name Sindel on the thumbnail, or should I replace it with the word wife?
Or maybe Twindel.
That is also a commonly held name for her, isn't it? Oh god, I want to die. So, let's be real. Anyone who is listening to this probably knows the whole 11 Aftermath Sindel fiasco. It was infamous enough to warrant some journalism articles. It's kind of a watershed moment for me in that bad kind of way where I realized this isn't the series I want it to be anymore. And it's a goddamn shame.
I think a lot of tears were shed over this moment, too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It broke my fucking heart, man. It really did. It's just, when you look at 11 and Aftermath, in comparison especially to what MKX did, there's this notable changing of the guard in terms of who's writing it. And basically everything that was brought up as a teaser for like in MKX endings and whatnot was pretty much thrown out the window. There's very much a feeling of, we're going to do what we want with these people now that like the past writers are gone, you know?
There is a definite break between 9 and X as one timeline and 11 as literally a different timeline. In fact, I've seen interviews with Sean Kittleson where he admits to putting things in the story on purpose to indicate that Chronica has changed things between games. For example, that's his excuse for why Cabal's backstory in 11 is that he was a dirty cop before he joined the Black Dragons, which is the exact reverse of his backstory in 9, where he was a Black Dragon and then quit to become a cop.
The answer to all various Mortal Kombat references and backgrounds not jibing with each other is that a wizard did it. A wizard god did it.
Well, out of all the retcons between the various games, I think it's clear to say that Sindel's was the least well received. In fact, Sindel's retcon was so egregious that that's actually the reason why I wanted to come onto your podcast and discuss her with you.
I remember that very well. I was surprised that you wanted to actually come and join us. I'm like, he's going to have some stuff to say about this, one way or another. And I'm very curious to hear your perspective. So, let's start with the following question. The obvious question, the honest question, the big question. Why did they do it? Why?
I have an answer to that question, actually.
There's a few answers, I think. There's a few answers, and we've covered a few of them earlier on. We have outlined the fact that Dom Cianciolo apparently believes that suicide is a terrible mortal sin, and anyone who engages in it is worthy of shame, and, you know, he has Fujin give this entire diatribe about how awful it is that all these monks killed themselves on Shang's Island. Those monks never worked for Shang Tsung. Do your homework.
Yeah, that's another retcon.
That one's just so ridiculous, I don't even pay attention to it. Like,
here's the thing, is that the thing about the monks is done specifically for aesthetics. They wanted to have dead monks in their ruined version of the courtyard because there are monks in the regular version of the courtyard, and it adds to that ruined aesthetic. And then they came up with a reason why they would be there later. If you follow the old timeline, specifically you read the original MK1 comic book by Tobias, the monks are from the Shaolin Temple. They are spectators who came to Shang's Island to watch the tournament, and they went home at the end of the tournament. They don't work for Shang. They're not evil monks.
it is one of those things where I can't make sense of it, so I don't try. It's dumb. I moved on.
They had to come up with a bullshit reason why there would still be monks living on the island when there's not a tournament happening.
In this version of Chronica's events, the noble and good Shaolin monks actually all work for a corrupt, horrible, outworld sorcerer. Okay, cool.
But anyway, as specifically pertains to Sindel, and he couldn't resist putting dialogue in the game to reinforce this, when Sindel does return to life and is reunited with Kitana, Kitana's first question is, how could you abandon me?
Yeah, that's right.
Here's the thing, though, that baffles me, is that Sindel goes on to say, I didn't kill myself. Quan Chi killed me and made it look like a suicide.
Yes, her line is, I ran afoul of Quan Chi, who accused me of distracting Shao Kahn, murdered me, and staged my death as a suicide. That's the rationale. She was distracting Shao Kahn.
So here's my question. Okay, so MK9, as we covered, presented this idea that Sindel's death was a noble sacrifice in order to cast a spell that would protect Earthrealm. So in the 11 version of events, where Sindel didn't do that, what was protecting Earthrealm? Are we back to the Elder Gods doing it?
My big
I don't know.
I really doubt that. I don't think Dom thought about it for even a second. I
No,
don't
I
think
don't believe
any
he did.
thought of how does this affect the plot of MK3 ever entered his head at all.
Well, my big question about it is this. If Sindel's soul was already evil, then the entire plot of MK Mythology Sub-Zero sort of falls apart. Because the only reason Shang Tsung knows about the location of the Temple of Elements is because he exchanged that information with Quan Chi. So, Quan Chi and Shinnok will taint Sindel's soul with evil, and in exchange, Shang Tsung gives them the information that he got from the great Kung Lao. So, if Sindel's soul's already evil, there's no reason for him to give that soul up and have them taint it with evil and make this exchange. The whole thing just falls apart.
Well, they'd already kind of given up on mythologies making sense a long time ago because Quan Chi walks around all of 9 wearing the amulet, and nobody notices or points it out, or is like, how did you get that from the temple?
Here's another question. If Sindel was always evil, what happens in MK11's version of MK3 events where Katana is supposed to try to reach out to her during the invasion? Did that just not work? Incidentally, we were speculating earlier as to what exactly it is about Katana turning Sindel against Shao Kahn that turns the tide against him. How we talked about how it was vague, remember?
Yeah.
The way that I actually see things is that once Sindel is brought back to her senses, the union between her and Khan is probably null and void, and Khan probably no longer has any kind of legal grounds to be in Earthrealm. So I think that would be something that would start to, tear at his merger, or something along the lines of that. Just a bit of food for thought. It's an idea I had.
I always kind of imagined, I think we said this already, I kind of imagined that when Kitana frees Sindel, Sindel then frees Edenia. And since Shao Kahn's power is directly connected to how many realms have been merged with Outworld, he loses a chunk of power right as he's fighting Liu Kang.
Maybe. It is something that we do wish would be better fleshed out.
Yeah.
I don't mind them leaving a little bit of that stuff to the imagination, but it does make sense, your theory, that as Shao Kahn loses his grasp on Edenia and is thus weakened, that gives Liu Kang the edge that he needed.
So just to, really sort of put the whole thing in a summary, MK11 posits that when Shao Kahn took over Edenia, Sindel stabbed Jared in the back and joined Khan's side willingly, and then proceeded to rule as his loving wife, with no mind control involved, until her death. So now here's my question. How did Kitana grow up to be a good person if Sindel and Khan, the two parental figures in her life, were both selfish and nasty?
I mean...
Why did she believe Sindel was good? Who told her that Sindel was good? Who raised her to think that her mom was a nice person if she wasn't?
More of Shao Kahn's lies? I don't know.
Why would he lie to her about something that would encourage her to turn against him?
I tend to think that that little blurb in the Mythologist booklet about him holding her soul as a reminder of his power to Katana probably went a good long way in having her go, my dad's kind of a creep.
I mean, she certainly has reason to think Shao Kahn is a bad father because he's a cruel person, but shouldn't she also have been raised to be a cruel person anyway? You can hate your dad and be a bad guy. But she's specifically a good guy. Even in 9, the whole reason there's a divide between her and Shao Kahn, the whole reason they don't get along and he wants Melina to be made, is because Kitana's too soft. She shows mercy to opponents and stuff. Who taught her to do that if Sindel was evil?
That's right. That makes absolutely no sense. Kitana grew up in a harsh, dark outworld in the castle of Shao Kahn, and under an evil Sindel for what little time she knew her. I mean, it just, how could she have grown up to be a good guy at all?
Yeah, so that doesn't make sense.
Well, you know what else? There's a bit of a contradiction in between MK11 and Aftermath. It's almost like the decision to make Sindel evil was actually done after MK11 had already been completed, and Aftermath was this new thing, and they kind of just made it up as they went along. And the reason I say that is because Geras, in one of his intros, one of his fight dialogue intros with Katana, specifically says that your mother loved you, and your mother was a good queen, and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely a weird disconnect between content that was made before the DLC and content made for the DLC. There's also a weird disconnect with intros in general, where they almost took, like, the multiverse approach when writing intros, because you have ones where, like, Devora says she killed Jared. A lot of intros just don't connect to the characters that are in story mode. They're just random nonsense, which is not how intros were written in MKX.
Maybe the real Mortal Kombat is the Jareds we killed along the way.
Here's Sindel's MK11 bio. Sindel, the former queen of Edenia, and will stop at nothing to keep her place. Threatened with the loss of her throne when Shao Kahn conquered her realm, Sindel betrayed her husband and her people to keep her privileged position. Now, as Shao Kahn's wife and queen of Outworld, she enjoys power and wealth beyond most people's imagination.
So, yeah, the spoiled right up front, the big twist there.
What's her magic word? Is it privilege?
Yeah, everybody in 11 had like a one-word tagline thing with their bios.
It's privilege, isn't it?
I think it's privilege.
Yeah.
It's privilege?
It's privilege.
Fantastic. Let's go. Kill ourselves. Cool. Awesome. Why do they resurrect Sindel in 11 again anyway? They need her to fight Kronika? Somehow?
I want to talk about this. So they say in 11 Aftermath, the plot is that Shang Tsung, Nightwolf, and Fujin were all absent from the main story mode because they refused to work with Kronika, so she threw them in the Void. Now, according to Sean Kittleson, when he said the Void, he meant the one from Deception, where the Elder Gods live. So Kronika throws 3 mortals into the Elder Gods' front yard, and the Elder Gods don't notice or care? They just leave them there? What is that about?
Why didn't they make them champions?
Yeah, that's what happened to Scorpion in Deception.
Hey you want some armor? Got some cool armor here for you.
But anyway, after Liu Kang kills Kronika, they are set free from the Void, and they tell Liu Kang, who now has Kronika's powers, that he can't use the Hourglass to restart reality, because the Hourglass will break if he tries to do it without her crown, and her crown was shattered when she died. There's some weird stuff with time travel here, where Liu Kang has to send them back into the game to get the crown. So even though reality was destroyed by Kronika, he can still send them back into reality? Aftermath doesn't make sense on the face of it. Like, the premise of the plot falls apart in the first chapter.
I'm so glad you remember all this shit.
Yeah, so anyway, as they're trying to get the crown, they realize they're going to have to fight Cetrion, the Elder God. So Shang Tsung says, if we had Sindel, we could beat Cetrion, because Sindel is so powerful. Remember how she killed you all in MK9? But the only reason Sindel was able to do that was because she had Shang's powers.
Oh my god.
Sindel is not naturally that strong, but 11 ignores that.
Wait a minute. Let's remember that we are hearing this from Shang Tsung. So we could take it to mean Shang Tsung knew what happened. Shang Tsung remembered that Sindel had his powers at that moment, and he wanted to bring her back for his own purposes. I would assume to get his powers back.
The Shang Tsung that we are playing as in Aftermath, I'm pretty sure was taken from the timeline before his death in 9?
So he still had all his powers.
Probably.
Yeah, he should still have his power, and Sindel would not have his power anymore.
But he somehow knew about the Sindel deaths.
Yeah, I mean, he somehow knew about everything that was going on. I guess him, Nightwolf, and Fujin were watching the timeline from the void they were trapped in and figured it all out.
Yes, of course.
But anyway, Sindel lost all of those souls and all that power when she died, because when you kill somebody who has stolen souls, the souls are released. And we know this for a fact because Kenshi's ancestors are in his sword in MKX. Shang Tsung had those souls. Those souls were transferred to Sindel. When Sindel died, they were freed and went into the sword.
Logically.
So Sindel does not have that power when you bring her back to life. Or at least she shouldn't. 11 does let her hold her own against Cetrion for no explained reason. There's also never actually, like, a justification given for why Sindel would be such a powerful person, like...
Because the writers want her to be.
Yeah, but, like, what's her origin story, you know? We're never given one.
No, we're not.
No. Speaking of origin stories, Shao Kahn, we used to know that the reason he was a powerful person is because he used to be the protector god of Outworld, and then he proceeded to conquer a bunch of realms, steal all the souls in those realms to power his sorcery. But from 11 on, he's written as a brute-strength barbarian who's not particularly clever, not good at sorcery, and wasn't a god.
It gets worse.
Chiancholo has said this.
Not in 11, but it gets worse. He's a sickly child in 1.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But, I presume in Dom's head, his origin in MK12 is similar to his origin in MK11? Where he's just mortal born and got to the throne through brute strength. I mean, Chiancholo, there is a video interview where you can see him say that he's aware Khan used to be the protector of Outworld in previous continuities, but that's not his backstory in 11.
Because we don't care for what other people wrote.
Well, see, if Shao Kahn was powerful, then it would be hard to explain why people beat him up so easily in these games. That's the real thing. The Throne of Outworld is a game of musical chairs in the NRS timeline. Because nobody's more powerful than anybody else, except that Sindel is powerful enough to fight an Elder God. So they go to Shang's Island to get the crown. Sindel fights Cetrion, and they successfully kick her ass and chase her away and get the crown, and that's the point at which the timeline changes from what it was during main MK11 into all the new stuff that happens in Aftermath. So after that, Sindel sort of returns back to the palace. Kitana has already defeated Shao Kahn and become Kitana Khan. So they're sort of bonding in the castle, and Sindel's like being supportive, and then as soon as Kitana leaves the room, she pulls out like a magic mirror or whatever it was, and is in communication with Shang Tsung about their evil schemes and how she's only pretending to be good.
It's the Compact of Carnage. It's spelled with K.
Now, there is another line here that I didn't care for. She said she's been waiting for this day for 1,000 years.
Yes, they say 1,000
and
years.
It's 10,000 years.
It should be, yes.
Kitana is 10,000 years old. This is a very, very basic tenet of the MK universe.
In the MK3 intro, it specifically says her untimely death 10,000 years ago.
Everybody on Earth who's ever heard of Mortal Kombat knows that Kitana's 10,000. Edenia was conquered 10,000 years ago. Sindel died 10,000 years ago. You can't change that. It's like saying Superman's from a different planet other than Krypton. It's too set in stone.
Johnny Cage is an actor. Superman can fly. Superman works at the Daily Planet as Clark Kent. Batman has a Batmobile. Kitana is 10,000 years old. It's a defining character trait. How do you fuck that up? How?
I don't know, man. I feel like Dom literally thought he could change anything he wanted. Any detail that he didn't like, he could just tweak it here and there because it's his universe now. He's the lead writer and he gets to decide. And it never occurred to him that MK11 wasn't the reboot. You can do those things after 11, put as many changes as you want into 12 because now you're inventing the lore from scratch. You can't do it in a sequel to something that already happened.
I get the feeling he wasn't around or never saw the online aftermath of Shaolin Monk's version of MK2 not matching literally fucking anything that MK2 originally put out there.
No.
Someone should have warned him, man. Someone probably did warn him.
No, I don't imagine.
Time and fucking time again, man.
He doesn't strike me as the kind of person who listens to feedback. I've seen, when people criticized the Sindel stuff on Twitter, his reaction was overwhelmingly to block all the negatives and repost the minority that liked it.
Pretty good strategy.
Wasn't another reason given for the entire retcon something to the effect of, well, she looks like an evil character? Wasn't that one of the responses?
Yes, that was the response, yes.
They decided to make her evil all along because that's, what her appearance is anyway, which misses the whole point that there was, nuance, and it was supposed to be, defying your expectations, and, she's dressed evil because Shao Kahn has made her to look like how he wants her to look.
There's this whole science between the way that people like Reiko and guys like Serena and Kia and Jataka look. The makeup, the aesthetics, the darkness, it's a Netherrealm aesthetic.
Yeah, we talked about the stripes in the hair being a mark Quan Chi's magic leaves on you, or seems to anyway.
But even that aside, the fact that someone looks dark or spooky so they must be evil is an incredibly shallow, stupid way to look at someone or something. That's literally the definition of judging a book by its cover. Look, all right? Look, I wear eyeliner. Anyone who's listened to the show for a long period of time knows that I'm a goth guy. I've been a goth guy for nearly 20 years. I rock a lot of eyeliner, I wear a lot of dark makeup. And I consider myself to be a good person. The fact that I molest kittens on the side is completely irrelevant. You can't judge people by what they look like.
If you look across the games where Dom has been the lead writer, there is a complete lack of nuance. Cabal is a bad guy at everything. Sindel is a bad guy at 11 because she looks like a bad guy. Serena never turns good in MK12. People are just on the side that they start out on. If somebody is going to be revealed to be a good person, or they're going to switch sides, the telegraphing is so ham-handed and obvious. Like when you first meet Reptile in 12, he is working for Shang Tsung, but it's obvious from moment one that he doesn't want to be there and doesn't like it. Like, there's never a point where anybody starts out actually bad and is convinced to turn good, or anybody starts out actually good and is convinced to turn bad. Everybody who changes alignment, like Bihan turns evil, turns into Noob Saibot, except that he was already an asshole from the first moment we meet him. In the 12 version.
That's been a long-standing thing. He was always kind of an asshole, so
yes,
that's a gimme.
There is a clear difference between how Bihan is written in mythologies, where it's like, he's kind of subtly an asshole, and you think maybe there's a chance, he could be redeemed, versus the 12 version, who is literally the most cartoonish villain in the game. Like, Bihan is more of a jerk in 12 than Shao Kahn is.
General Shao.
General Shao.
Yeah, General Shao.
Oh, good lord.
There's no nuance in a Dom-written thing. People are just what they appear to be on the surface all the time.
No one with that kind of a narrow perspective should be picking up a pen and writing fictional characters. Nobody.
Let me tell you something. If you look up Dom's work history before he joined NRS as a cinematics director for Versus DC Universe, before that, he was doing army recruitment videos. Guess what's really known for their nuance and their good writing?
Oh, Christ. Tabmok, you were saying something.
Oh, yeah, you made a really good point about, Reptile or anybody on that side, anybody who switches sides. You can tell that their heart's not really in it. He comes across very clearly that circumstances have forced them into that situation, and the good guys, the Earthrealmers, all they have to do is just lend a helping hand and sort of rescue them from their circumstances, and then they'll be all right.
So, throughout the rest of Aftermath, Sindel spends the entire story being Shao Kahn's arm candy, whispering sweet nothings in his ear and whatnot, and enjoying it every time that he crushes a skull.
You know, I'm not sure whether to list this as a pro or a con, but when she's first reunited with Katana, she has this line, "Trust that I loved your father. Trust that I love you, blah, 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 blah." And it just, when you rewatch it knowing what you know, it just feels like such a knife twist. It feels really unpleasant.
Yeah, I mean, there's a moment there when she first comes back to life where they hug and it's sort of like what you expect. You know, they're playing to your expectations. And then once she turns,
It's full mustache twirling from that point on.
it is very children's cartoon. It's like Disney villain with a slightly political edge because a lot of her lines are about the reason that she's evil and the reason she chooses Khan over Jared is because she enjoys taking advantage of being privileged.
Yeah, that's the watchword that they used to describe when they refer to her in 12 too. It's like, in this past timeline, all she cared about was her privilege. Da-da-da.
Dom has chosen words that are meant to make you think about, like, oh, don't you hate those Wall Street 1%ers? And it's like so obvious.
Fists of ham.
It's a little heavy-handed.
Yeah.
For those of you who love ham.
Yeah, it's very heavy-handed. It's clumsy and inappropriate.
And I'm also going to get this out there while we're talking about it, and her appearance in 11. There is this entire angle where, like, Sindel has had Shiva as a bodyguard.
Yeah.
While we're getting the plot holes and the inconsistencies out of the way, one by one.
That's a good point.
It's a nice touch, and I would like it if it made any sense at all that Shiva would be 10,000 years old plus, or 50,000. Goro is 2,000 at best. How fucking old is Shiva supposed to be that she was Sindel's personal bodyguard? It does not make sense.
Well, that's going back
This is the
to
Chewbacca defense. It does not
okay,
make
so
sense.
here's the thing. In the original Mortal Kombat 3, Shiva is Sindel's bodyguard during the invasion. Like, after they brought Sindel back to life, they gave Shiva the assignment of protecting her during the invasion. But then the movie MK Annihilation comes out, and they say Shiva used to be Sindel's bodyguard. Like, that's Shiva's backstory, but then Shiva doesn't actually do anything during the movie except get crushed by a giant bird cage.
She just got caged.
They only put it in there as, like, a member berries an acknowledgement of, like, we know this is what happened in MK3, but it's not gonna happen in our movie, so we're going to say it happened in the past.
So it's actually Annihilation's fault, you're saying?
Yes, it's Annihilation's fault, because then
Awesome.
Mortal Kombat 9, instead of using the 3 version, uses the Annihilation version, which, as we've mentioned before, kind of happened with weirdly a lot of things in that game.
Starting to wonder which movie left the bigger legacy.
Yeah.
We need MK Annihilation skins in the next Mortal Kombat game.
Well, we have a few Annihilation-esque ones for the ninjas' masks in MK12.
We did get Rain's mask in 12, yeah.
Yeah, but we need the Margene Holden Shiva skin. That's what we need.
From the neck down, Rain is wearing the MK1 movie outfit, but the mask is the Annihilation mask.
Still unabashedly want those outfits in a future game. Still do.
You know, I think they would look better than the game's version of the actual UMK3 outfits because they'd be more likely
by a
to have the squares the right shape.
by a fucking country mile. Not even kidding. Anyway, Sindel.
Yeah, so where I thought you were going when you brought up Shiva is that if Shiva was her bodyguard before she died, Shiva should know that she's evil, right?
There is that too, yes.
But when Sindel turns, Shiva is as surprised as everybody else.
Don't think about it. Eat the popcorn. Enjoy the movie.
Like, there's this whole sequence where after Katana took the throne from Shao Kahn, she threw him in the dungeon, and he's been cut across the eyes and blinded. Sindel goes down there to rescue him, and in the process of letting him out of the dungeon, she kills a bunch of Shokan, and then fights and either knocks out or kills Shiva herself. It's not clear if Shiva's dead or not.
Yeah, we just never come back to her.
Yeah, but Shiva was surprised that Sindel would take Shao Kahn's side, even though she was there for the original Sindel before she died.
Yeah, and she spent a lot of time in Sindel's chambers, too.
Was she away for years? It is now getting hard to keep track of all the bullshit that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
When MK9 came out, it was like you could pick out these individual things, these unique details that were not reconcilable with the original storyline.
There's also something I'd like to point out. A lot of fans, in discussing Mortal Kombat X, it's sort of a sticking point in an argument I've gotten into with people several times, that whether or not it was wrong of Scorpion to kill Quan Chi, because the heroes kept making the claim that they needed Quan Chi to save the Revenants and restore them.
Well, this game puts a crimper on that.
Mortal Kombat 11 immediately goes, you don't need Quan Chi to fix a Revenant. You just need, like, Fujin and the Soul Chamber.
Fujin, the Soul Chamber, Sorcerer kind of knows what he's doing. You're good.
Yeah, like, anybody can do it.
I'm sure Raiden's just not really drunk.
Yeah, so our quote-unquote heroes, Nightwolf, Fujin, and Shang Tsung, go to the Netherrealm to kidnap Revenant Sindel. Then they bring her to the Soul Chamber so she can be healed fully back to life. She is even more back to life than she was in the original MK3, because her eyes aren't white in this game.
This is true. She never originally lost that white tinge.
And depending on the gear you use, she doesn't even have the black streak in her hair. At least not in the front of her hair. It's still in the back because the gear can't change that. But yeah, so this is the most alive Sindel has ever been.
Seems like she's in complete control of herself.
Oh yes. They make sure to let us know.
It is weird. I've become so used to seeing characters that didn't have pupils before and now with them, that hers didn't bother me as much as, say, Raiden's did at the end of 11. You know? That shit's just not right.
Raiden just looks funny with his cowl with the eyes, because, like, if he took the cowl off and let his hair down, then it probably wouldn't look as weird to have pupils in his eyes. It's just aesthetics. Emphasizes how fat his face is somehow.
So next, we have a resurrected Sindel who is alive and healthy, speaks into a magic compact, is a traitor.
Yeah, she reveals that she's been evil all along by setting Shao Kahn free from the dungeon, and then the two of them, in a chapter where they are playable, proceed to, they kill Kotal Khan.
Ah, yes.
As they should.
Head right down the fucking deck.
They throw Kung Lao into the sea of blood, so I guess he's drowning for eternity.
Good! I'll give them props for that one. Fuck that guy.
Well, there's a moment in that really kind of bothers me, where I think it's Sindel
Catches his hat. Yeah.
throws it back at him,
Oh.
and he hurts his hand catching it.
How do you...
The hat responds to his telepathic commands and can teleport when he wants it to. How can he hurt himself on the hat?
When he's the one throwing it, it's fine. When someone else is throwing it and he's not the one, he can't sense the arc directly, it's different. I thought it made sense.
I guess. I don't like it.
The writers want her to be very good at what she does.
I don't think they needed any more moments to push them for SummerSlam. They didn't need to be propped up quite so hard, considering that the next thing they do is beat Liu Kang, which Shao Kahn has never done in any game before.
To a bloody pulp.
Oh yeah, they maim him and break his legs.
Katana gets a bit of the business too, if I'm remembering right.
They force Katana to watch, and there's this long, drawn-out scene of Liu Kang and Katana crying and reaching out to touch each other's hands, and they're stopped by the beating Khan and Sindel give them.
What's funny about that is when they break Liu Kang's legs, later on, the Revenant Liu Kang, his legs are also broken.
Yeah, as if the legs will never heal across 20 years.
And also, if you break your legs and you die, and then you become a spirit in the Netherrealm, your legs are also broken.
Yeah.
Forever.
When Quan Chi made him a Revenant, wouldn't he fix the legs? There's a very strange relationship between, like, the past version of characters and the future versions in 11. Like, young Johnny gets shot with a bullet across his face, so older Johnny gets a scar. Not an open wound, a scar.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That works.
But later, when Sonya's fighting the two Kanos at once, she punches the young one in the kidney, and the old one feels it. That's not even permanent damage.
That's not how this works.
That's not how this works at all.
That's so fucking stupid. Oh, we expect too much from the series nowadays. We really do.
Also, if you break Young Lu's legs and Revenant Lu's legs are also broken, how come Fire God Lu's legs weren't broken?
Just eat the popcorn. Just eat the popcorn.
No, because Fire God exists outside of time. That's why.
Yeah, I guess.
Sure.
See, I'm trying to pay attention here.
You're a braver man than I.
So what else did Shao Kahn and Sindel kill? Oh, they take Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, and Cassie Cage hostage to be turned into sex slaves. And that's the last time we see those three characters in the game.
Thank you for that, Dominic.
Thank you for that mental image. That's great.
Oh, man.
You know, if not for virtually everything involving Sindel, I could really like Aftermath. Because Cary Tagawa, bless him, does so well. It's such a treat to see him.
Yeah, no, it was so good up until the Khan and Sindel chapter, and then it just took a nosedive.
God.
I feel like everything that happens in that chapter is sort of their response to years of fans going, how come we never get to play as a villain in story mode? So they just went, oh, you want to play as a villain, huh? Well, in this villain chapter, you will fuck up all the heroes the worst they've ever been fucked up.
Well, there you have it.
And they treat it like it's all okay that this happens because it's all going to be erased at the end when Liu Kang resets the timeline anyway. Like, Liu Kang knew all of his friends were going to be tortured and killed, and he lets it happen because he's like, hey, it won't have happened in my timeline. That's still fucking...
Not to compare this too much to DC and their crisis, their one crisis after another.
Yeah.
But that whole idea, I remember there was this whole thing of, there was this meme that went viral, Superboy Prime ripping off the arms of somebody, I forget who, and saying, you're ruining everything.
Yep.
Yeah, it's some C-list member of the Teen Titans, like Geoforce or Damage or somebody like that.
And his whole logic, I read the original comic, and his whole logic the entire time he's on this rampage is, well, none of this is really going to have happened by the time I reset time anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, and he's the villain in that story. Parallax has the same logic in Zero Hour. He's attacking all the other heroes, Hal Jordan, former hero, everybody's against him because he's trying to restart the timeline. And he goes, all this bad stuff that's happening right now, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it. If you guys would just lay off, it'll never have happened. He's the bad guy in that story.
Yep.
You're not supposed to agree with the person who says those things.
I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be beating you to death with your own legs. But it's fine, I'll fix it.
But no, when God Liu Kang uses the exact same logic, apparently he's the good guy at the end of the thing.
It's all the way the story's framed.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So after we decapitate Kotal Khan and torture porn Liu Kang for a little while, and make Katana watch it,
Yeah.
what else happens? There's a fight that breaks out. Sindel plays Dr. Octopus with her hair a little bit, which is funny.
Oh yeah, she walks on her hair, which she can fly, so why is that necessary?
It is creepy looking.
There's this running thread between, X and 11 and 12, where, they go out of their way to try to do cool things with Sindel's hair and physics. Sometimes they succeed, sometimes they don't. This is what I'll leave up to you guys. I think it's entertaining enough to have merit. It's ridiculous, but I like it.
You know how people say it's very difficult to do Mr. Fantastic's powers in a live-action movie without it looking weird?
No, you put a
and
camera
gross?
on your wrist, and then you just move forward. That's how it was originally done, and that's the best way to do it.
I think people are talking about when you zoom out and do the CGI arm stretching. I agree with that, and I think it also applies to her hair.
I think they did get better at it later, but we'll come to that.
I think there's still, over pushing stuff she can do with her hair. Like, in 12, when she does her fireball, now she does it by, like, whipping hair at you. Like, some of her own hair snaps off and becomes a projectile, which...
That is a bit much, and it doesn't make a lot of sense.
That's not nearly as cool as her screaming a ball of fire out of her mouth at you.
That's true.
Yeah. So, after Sindel and Shao Kahn take the cages hostage and torture Lu and Kitana, they arrive on the shores of Kronika's hideout with Kotal Khan's severed head.
As you do.
They link up with Shang Tsung, and they help Shang defeat Raiden and Fujin, and Shang steals their souls, but not all of them. Like, he leaves them as, like, withered but alive so they can be taken hostage, and he can keep stealing their souls little by little forever. I want to point in at this point in time that Fujin is in on Lu's plan. Like, he knows he's supposed to lose and get his shit pushed in because Lu's gonna reset the timeline and it's all gonna be fine. Apparently he's cool with it.
Except we haven't seen Fujin in that new timeline.
No, Fujin has not appeared in the world of MK12 yet. He might be a girl. There is reference to Raiden having a sister in that timeline, but no mention of a brother named Fujin. Interesting, that.
I do know that Aftermath turned the Fire God into a lady. It might be that. We'll see. Maybe. I don't know.
We do see the gods of Earth, Water, and Fire in a background in Onslaught, and at least one of them is female in Onslaught's timeline. Anyway, they then basically follow Shang around and beat people up for him until he reaches Kronika. And then they are surprised when Shang stabs them in the back and steals their souls too.
Who saw it coming? Show of hands.
After all the bullshit that Aftermath puts us through, the most satisfying moment in the whole thing for me is seeing Sindel get her soul stolen by Shang.
Her and Shao Kahn both. I am watching it right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Your service to me now begins. It's magnificent. Like, for all it messes with everything I've, loved about that character or used to, Cary Tagawa is such a treat to hear in action, and it's so rewarding to see him push their shit in.
So I want to point out, after the game, going, oh, Sindel's the most powerful. Sindel can fight an Elder God. First of all, that's not that impressive a claim when you also have Cetrion lose every fight anyway. Like, Cetrion is not powerful.
Cetrion was a mistake.
Cetrion was a huge mistake. What a terrible character.
Yes, Mother. But Mother said, Mother.
So I have talked about, we have a lot of videos on our channel about, like, fan fiction ideas, sort of like what we would do if we were in charge and this and that. And, like, I've always maintained that even if I was, like, retelling the old timeline games, I am perfectly willing to see new timeline characters in them. Like, I absolutely think that Kotal and Devora could exist off-screen in the background of Mortal Kombat 2, and it wouldn't affect anything negatively. Like, they fit in the world of Mortal Kombat. They feel like a natural part of it.
I'd take Aaron, I would take Collector in a heartbeat.
Yeah, all of those guys. The only exceptions I've ever encountered are Kronika and Cetrion.
What about Ferritor?
I like Ferritor.
Ferritor's a cool character, but also Farah is really young, so they could only exist if, like, Cassie's around. It's an age thing.
I dig them in crowd shots, or characters reminiscent of them. But I quite like their concept.
I guess you'd have to omit Geras, too, just because he's inherently connected to Kronika, although I do kind of like Geras now. Like, he's one of the only characters that I think 12 has improved.
Yeah, the changes were slight, but yeah, it is an improvement.
Definitely.
It would be hard to justify him showing up if you're trying to avoid ever acknowledging the hourglass or alternate timelines.
I would just make him the blah-blah-blah god of time, not reference it very much, and move on. He'd be a secret character fight.
I guess you could do it, yeah. It would be weird to try. Like, I can't imagine a time if you were, like, remaking one through Armageddon where he would actually have a reason to show up. But I wouldn't delete him entirely like I would Kronika and Cetrion.
The second I heard that Cetrion was supposed to be Shinnok's sister, I started developing a massive migraine. I knew bad things were going to happen. There's some sentences you read and you just understand. They're fucking with the Pantheon.
Even elder gods have kin.
Let's not think too hard about it.
Yeah, but they don't have moms. Like, theoretically, they were created by the One Being, which, by the way, Dom refuses to ever mention in anything he makes. For some reason, he just doesn't like the concept of the One Being and keeps trying to replace it.
I made a different One Being. I made the Titans. Blah! Bashing G.I. Joes together.
I guess Liu Kang is the One Being now.
I thought Shinnok's ending in MKX hinted at the One Being.
Yes, but that was...
This was pre-Dom.
Yeah, that was MKX. That was the last time that we weren't, living with him as the lead.
I think that's the
writer.
last time the One Being was ever mentioned.
Well, but not only that, but in the beginning of MK11, when Dark Raiden is talking to Shinnok's head, and Shinnok is saying that I just want to tell the truth to them, and that's the truth that you're hiding from them, Raiden. And I always kind of assumed that truth is that we're all fragments of the One Being.
I got a chance to ask Sean Kittleson once what that line of dialogue was supposed to mean. What is the truth that Shinnok believes in? And he said that it's that mortals should be servants of the gods instead of the gods serving the mortals, which is what he feels like the way things are now is. So it's really just a lame non-answer.
I wonder if that was his actual mindset when he was writing the line, or if he forgot, because I don't know, when I read that line, or when I heard the line delivered.
Your reading on it is certainly much more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought the truth was, that Raiden was shielding all the mortals from, and that's what Shinnok wanted to expose. It seemed within his character to do that.
Yeah.
It would be within his character to do something like that. Unfortunately, the real truth is no one has referenced the One Being since MKX, because we just...
That was the last time. I mean, unless you count the fact that Battle of the Realms came out after X, but that's,
Different canon.
an animated adaptation
within
made
the
by...
games.
Yeah, different canon.
We just tossed that, whole bunny completely in the trash.
So...
As I rewatched Shang eating Sindel and Shao Kahn for the 9th time in the past 5 minutes.
That is the last we see of Sindel, obviously, is that her soul is stolen by Shang Tsung, and then Shang and Liu Kang fight to determine the end of the game.
I guess that leaves us with her ending.
Yes, which is basically... Sindel came out as a DLC character with her arcade ending before Aftermath was released. So we, the audience, didn't know that they were going to go, oh, Sindel is evil all along, and she's the one who killed Jared, until we saw her arcade ending. That was what revealed it. And there was a lot of, copium at the time that, oh, maybe the arcade ending doesn't count, and it'll be, regular Sindel in story mode. Nope.
Hoping against hope. Such an endearing human trait. I'm touched. Really.
So, the ending goes. In the beginning, Shao Kahn invaded Edenia, murdered my husband Jared and forced me to be his bride. That's the story, but it's a lie. One I told, lest I lose the faith of my subjects or of my daughter Katana. The truth? Jared was weak, destined to fail. By betraying him, I gained a better lover and the... Sorry, throwing up in my mouth.
Keep it together.
And the ultimate weapon. A conqueror to unite all realms and put them at my beck and call. Then Kronika upended history and I found myself confronting a future in which I'd been dead for centuries. My so-called family had failed me in every way. Kitana broke my heart worst. Instead of uniting all the realms, she sought to liberate them, as if the wasteland savages could ever be more than serfs. Ever the caring mother, I had to discipline my little princess, and after that I had to discipline a titan. Now I have defeated Kronika, outgrown Shao Kahn and Kitana. I have no more family, no more rivals, no more gods. I sit above them all, on a throne that unites all realms, and all realities. Whoever you are, wherever you are, when you are before me, kneel, for I am Sindel, Empress of Time, and you exist only to serve me. If you listen really carefully, you can hear someone masturbating furiously as they type these words.
I just want to point out that the big visual for this ending, the money shot, is Sindel doing a leaping knee into her daughter's nose and blood spraying everywhere.
She had to discipline her daughter.
I'm gonna get really frank for a moment about something. Uncomfortably frank. My mom's on her way out. She's got advanced dementia at this point. She's starting to forget things. She hasn't forgotten me yet, for which I'm grateful. I know I'm reaching the end with her. You know? That day's gonna come. I'm gonna get that phone call one of these days. Probably the next few years. The more that time passes, I, as a person, appreciate how beautiful and touching the MK3 reunion story between Katana and her mother, Sindel, was supposed to be. If you would tell me that, like, reuniting with my dead mother, knowing her as I've always wanted to, as I remember her even maybe, would save the world, fuck yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And I'm so fucking tired, so utterly fucking tired of all this torturing my daughter shit, you know? Fucking parents stepping on the heads of their kids like we get in 9 and like we get in this fucking ending. Over and goddamn over again, and I'm so sick of it. It's just so... It's cynical in an ugly, vicious, and sickening way. Is this the best we can do now? Constantly, over and over. Why can't we get nice fucking things? You know?
I feel like... So when Mortal Kombat X was first announced, there was a lot of people, asking, like, isn't it going to be really awkward to have Johnny and Sonya beating up their daughter? And when you play the game, if you do those fights, the arcade intros, the versus match intros, are always just like, haha, we're about to have a sparring session. And then, it's blood all over the floor and maybe you do a fatality. And it's like, I think the developers just kind of shrugging their shoulders and go, well, we can't not have it that way. We know it's absurd. That's just what the series is.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I don't give a shit if parents and kids are killing each other in fights. I'm not one of those people.
But yeah, the story should be a different tone.
Within the confines of the storyline, Sindel and Katana's storyline, as it initially was in the Midway timeline compared to everything it's been since, is just so depressing and sad to see.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at, you know?
Well, I will say, I've always felt, and I don't want to make it sound like I agree with Dom, because I absolutely do not. But I remember when Deception came out, I kinda wished they had changed Sindel's design some. Because I always kinda wanted to see what she would look like after she was restored. Like, at the end of Annihilation, her appearance changes when the world goes back from, like, the invasion ends.
Right, she doesn't have, like, the gothy dead shit.
Yeah, like, I kinda would have liked Deception Sindel to maybe have a different balance of black and white in her hair, maybe not have white ghoul eyes, something. Maybe just her primary costume could have been different, and then her alt could have been the classic purple swimsuit we're accustomed to.
Yeah, sure.
And I feel like maybe that would have helped. Maybe when we think about the character today, it would be much easier to convince people that the MK3 version of Sindel isn't the default and the one we have to see in every game. I don't know. That's just something that I've always kind of thought in the back of my head. Because as we all know, that the way Sindel looks in 3 is the product of the magic that brought her back to life. When you see her in her arcade ending, she looks kind of different. She doesn't have the black stripe and white eyes. White eyes especially, we associate that with either being a god like Raiden or being dead like Scorpion.
And she has a nice Star Trek outfit.
Yeah, she has the weird silver coat on.
When you think about it, the best time to actually show what Sindel looks like in the aftermath of Khan's invasion would have been in the Mortal Kombat 4 comic.
Yeah, but in that comic, she's literally wearing what she wears at MK3.
That's the problem.
Which I don't really blame them for, because she's not in 4, so the artist of the comic just sort of went with the only design that existed at the time. Like, he's not going to take the initiative to create a new Sindel costume.
He's not going to look at the ladder ending from 3.
Probably not. Also, I wouldn't necessarily use the silver code from the ending.
I would not either, unless it turned out to be like a cloak or something.
Hmm.
Was there anything else about 11 we wanted to cover before we move on?
There is one thing that's very strange about how Sindel is presented in 11. When she does her scream, a ghost kind of leans forward out of her body and screams at you.
Yes, it does. It's like Quan Chi put an actual banshee spirit in there, is what we're supposed to believe, maybe.
Which is an awful weird thing to do in the same game where you're saying this is the real Sindel and there's no mental influence or possessing beings in her.
I kept seeing that thing throughout the game, and I kept on waiting for an explanation for it, and it never came. There's just a banshee ghost in her for some reason.
Yeah, it's almost like they planned on having her being possessed, and they planned on that being her storyline, and then at somewhere midway through development, they changed course.
Yeah, it's very weird.
I had thought the same thing, as a matter of fact. I feel like there were plans for that banshee, and they just got axed. In time, everything becomes Quan Chi's vomiting a deadly alliance staff.
It puts me in the mind of, like, hey, remember how cool we thought it would be if possessed Kenshi was canon? All those variations in X that feel like they could have story implications and just didn't.
Yep. So much always gets cut. So much.
Yeah.
There was one more thing I want to discuss.
Okay.
There is a large subset of people out there who prefer Sindel evil and will not hesitate to let everyone know about it.
There is a...
Like, they feel like this is a massive improvement to the character, and I just kind of wanted to put the lie to that a little bit, as far as I'm concerned.
I didn't think this whole Sindel thing had much to do with that. I just thought when it comes to the youth and they're maybe are more accepting of the NRS retcon of her, I just thought maybe they didn't grow up with the old games. They don't know the lore. They don't understand how breaking it is to the lore. They don't get it. They don't tie it together with the old games because they didn't grow up with them.
I think that that's it. We have to remember that we're part of, like, an older breed, and a lot, and I'm going to say even probably a vast majority of the people playing Mortal Kombat right now, although not as many as you might think, honestly. Ed ran a poll asking people about a half year back, when did you first start playing Mortal Kombat? And like a third of everyone responded with the arcade era. Almost another third of that was like with MK11 or like the NRS era. The least of those three choices was like the 3D era. So yeah, like a fair bit of people out there had never played the originals before 9. So to them, the mental image of Sindel is murdering the entire cast, stomping on people and being evil, and it's a strange thing.
I will say, like, even when we were kids, every generation has teenagers who think bad guys are cooler characters than good guys.
Like the Batman villains are cooler than the Bat family.
There's cool, but cooler isn't necessarily better. What makes a good character, in your opinion? Honest question.
What makes a good character, in my opinion, is a fleshed out backstory and motivation, like a character arc. Basically, just don't be shallow and one-dimensional.
I think that a lot of this fucking Sindel kerfuffle clusterfuck comes from wanting to take the MK3 version of that character, who was more of a plot device than her own character, and trying to make something of her. And there's a subset of people out there that think that the new Sindel is more fleshed out, largely because they either play the originals or, like, seeing these things in an FMV movie is more real and believable to them than it is a series of bits of text. And I think that the little bit of going back for her daughter in deception that she had also speaks to her character a little bit. I don't think that she was ever completely one note in the Midway timeline. I wouldn't call her necessarily three-dimensional then, but the thing is, I also wouldn't call MK11 Sindel three-dimensional either. She's just kind of very much a cackling Disney witch. The way I see it is that Midway Sindel is Glinda the Good Witch, and MK11 Sindel is the Wicked Witch of the West. Neither character is particularly complicated or deep. They're archetypes. They're nice. Or they're bad. MK has much deeper characters on both ends of the spectrum, out the ass.
I've always said Sindel's not exactly one of my favorite characters. I would certainly agree with you that even the good Sindel in the games that we like isn't particularly fleshed out. But evil person under my control who's secretly good is at least 2 dimensions, and 2 are more than 1.
That's where I'm coming from, buddy. That's where I'm coming from.
I will say this, regardless of the strength of a character or how, what makes a character a good character, I think there's also the overall narrative to consider. And when you take the narrative and it falls apart because you think, oh, it'd be interesting if I did this with the character, all the other events no longer make any sense. They don't hold up. The entire timeline just sort of disintegrates because you thought Sindel looks evil, let's make her actually evil. And now all the other plot points that only make sense when Sindel was good, it no longer holds up. The entire story doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Even in MK11, this is another point I wanted to make, they gave Jared 3 different deaths. And I think Sindel's episode is the most relevant one to talk about Jared's deaths. Shao Kahn killed Jared, Sindel killed Jared, Devora killed Jared.
We all killed Jared.
Like Spartacus, right? Yeah, I killed Jared.
Sound off in the comments if you killed Jared.
But yeah, I agree with that. And people have asked me, if you were like doing a what if, what would you do? And my answer is always that I don't like what ifs, because they tend to be created by people who have no sense of cause and effect. Like, they don't think out the timeline of what they're doing. They're just throwing random shit at the wall. I don't like rebooting things in general. I just think that whatever the first version of the story was is usually the best version of the story, because it's the one that was plotted out piece by piece in real time, so they made sure that everything connected to everything else as they were doing it. They really had no other choice but to. But when you start over and you just rearrange the pieces, there are a lot of people who don't necessarily, like, they may not call themselves Mortal Kombat fans so much as, like, I'm a Melina stan, or whatever they say.
Yes.
Scorpion is my favorite character, and I don't really care about the rest of what's in the game.
That is so weird to me.
That's not a healthy way to look at a franchise, at an IP. I believe in a more holistic thing where who your favorite character isn't nearly as important as what the plot is.
Yeah, I see it the same way. At least for something like Mortal Kombat.
My favorite characters, Sub-Zero and Katana, like I have favorite characters, but I'm not going to put their importance over the importance of, like, my favorite thing in Mortal Kombat is the tournament and the invasion and, the setup of, we'll introduce the idea of Onaga and his undefeatable army in this game so that we can have Onaga in the next game. Like, I like story and plot more than I like any individual. Individual characters, they're not people. They're things you create roles for. They're archetypes. Like, Mortal Kombat, if we wanted to talk about, like, the Cole Young movie, you can see how everything in that falls apart, specifically because the characters are in the wrong archetypes. They remove Johnny Cage, so they don't have your audience insert. The guy who's being introduced to the world of Mortal Kombat is this new guy, but the new guy's not funny. So now Kano's on the good guy team because we need a funny guy. And Raiden's in the movie, but he doesn't do anything.
Kano is your audience insert.
Yeah, Liu Kang isn't the main character now. This new guy is. So Liu Kang has been changed to the mentor. And if Liu Kang is the mentor, then Raiden has nothing to do. You can see how moving the pieces breaks the whole thing.
I hadn't thought about it like that for the film, but you can see it definitely happening even with these reboots. I'm going to take it that you're not a fan of doing something like Mortal Kombat The New 52.
No. I stopped reading DC Comics specifically because of The New 52. That was the point where I dropped out of regularly buying and following comics. At least for DC.
Pretty much me too. As far as I'm concerned, like, the last Batman issues that actually happened was like the whole Batman Incorporated stuff where, like, Grant Morrison was writing it.
Yeah. He ignored that there had been a reboot and continued where he left off. Jeff Johns did the same thing with Green Lantern, so I continued reading those 2 books until the writers left. But everything else I was not reading when the New 52 started. I tried an issue here and there, and I really hated it.
That's what MK12 is to, man. It's the New 52 of MK.
Basically.
And the kids, they like their individual characters and don't care for the rest of their franchises.
When you prioritize character over plot, this is what you end up with.
Somewhere out there is someone who only owns the issues of Spider-Man for the Nazi made of bees. Well, that's all I really wanted to bring up. That notion of what makes a character good or interesting, you know? It's something that's been weighing on my mind for a long time.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I mean, there's always going to be I don't want to be too harsh and just say, oh, they're just edgelords, anybody who prefers bad guys over good guys.
No, you have to remember, a lot of this fan base is not just kids, it's mature people too. Allegedly.
Yeah, it's also adults who are edgelords who prefer bad guys over good guys. Yeah, I can't get behind liking characters who are self-serving because maybe that's like a characteristic that you admire or want in your own life. Like I just want to be with someone who will buy the most jewelry for me or whatever it is.
I say this freely. When I was a young and impressionable teenager in the late 90s, I wore a black trench coat not really because of Neo, but because of Sephiroth. I also, spray dyed my hair silver for a couple days and regretted that immensely. But, as kids, we latch onto these characters because there's some aspect of them that we can relate to. Relatability is important to character, and it freaks me out that people like Melina so much for this exact reason. You're not a monster, you're a beautiful person. You need a hug.
There are people who look at the interactions between Sindel and Shao Kahn in 11, and they think that's like a romantic relationship.
No, God, who thinks that?
That's healthy in some way? I am not attracted to any of the energy those two are putting out. And also, the 11 version of Shao Kahn is a very ugly-looking dude. I don't get how you can be into whatever's going on there.
I've seen lampposts sexier than that dynamic.
Khan has never been particularly good-looking. He's always been a bald guy with fingernails growing out of his forehead under that helmet. But 11 is definitely the most unappealing 3D character model he's ever had.
There was definitely something going on with him there.
Picture me naked.
It's rough and scaly, right? It wouldn't even feel good.
Can we talk about Onslaught now?
Ugh, yes, please.
Well, we probably should, because I'll be honest, MK11 Sindel was probably the worst retcon, the worst received retcon that there's ever been done. I don't think the fan community has ever been so vocal about a retcon as they have about Sindel. And that is why I wanted to come on this podcast. But I got to give credit to the team for listening and actually saying, okay, we see what worked and we see what didn't. And they course corrected. And with the next two games, we'll cover Onslaught first and then MK12. But with the next two games, they course corrected and they said, yep, Sindel was a good guy. Sindel was on the team of good before she died. And they've been sticking with that ever since.
I have a lot to say about that once we get to 12, but we'll get to 12 in short time.
Right,
We have to cover Onslaught too, because I have opinions about the way they handled her in 12.
So, MK Onslaught, we've never actually covered on the channel?
It's been too new. I think it came out after we did the first part of Sindel.
The weird thing about Onslaught is that it was in a beta state for a really long time where the only people who could play it were certain overseas countries, and if you could somehow get a pirated copy to work. And then when it finally came out, it was here for a month, and then it was discontinued and taken off the store.
Yeah.
After MK1 came out, and I went through it front to back, I made a conscious decision to just stop pursuing interest in any form of NRS MK product. I have not played Onslaught, just like I have not played Chaos Reigns. I don't intend to. I have other things I want to do with my time. However, Razor the other night posted a 20-paragraph summary of the entire thing. I tried reading 5 paragraphs, and I am justified in my decision. That's why he's going to take this entire section.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing on YouTube chapter by chapter, and I took extensive notes so that I'd never have to watch it again, so that I could just read the notes if I needed to remember anything. And I shared those notes on the Discord, so anybody who wants to see those, they're in the lore channel. They are pinned, so you can find them. But yeah, so Onslaught was a mobile game. It's a JRPG that kind of plays itself. Like, this is a whole genre of mobile game, apparently. It's called an auto battler, and I don't know what the appeal is of a game that plays itself, but sure, I guess.
I don't know, but I like the cutscenes.
I always wanted a Mortal Kombat RPG, and it's really disappointing that this is how they did it. But yeah, so the story mode has 10 chapters, and each chapter like starts with a pre-rendered cutscene, and then the rest of it is in between every fight. It's told with text boxes. And it's its own timeline. It's written by Dom, by himself. The game was made mostly out of Mortal Kombat 11 assets. A couple pieces of X here and there, like Goro and Tanya's character models are from X. So the premise of the game is that it's sort of like, you know how a cartoon, like say Defenders of the Realm, will go, you're already familiar with the inciting incident, we're dropping you in after that has happened in like a bland status quo. So the world of Onslaught is a bland status quo set after the 10th MK tournament.
Yes.
Basically. So it's like MK2 has not happened. But then the events of the game are like this weird mashup of things from 2, 3, 4, Deadly Alliance, and 11 that don't really make timeline sense. So I'll give an example. So Kuai Liang is the Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei and Frost is his student, even though it's supposed to be just after the tournament. So, like, was Bihan the Grandmaster, and then Kuai Liang took over the clan when he died and became Noob Saibot? How did that happen so fast? I don't know.
Based on everything that you typed the other night, I'm just gonna politely request that you stick to the Sindel stuff for the sake of brevity, because...
Right. I don't want to... I'm not trying to do, like, a long, deep dive. We'll be here all night.
You could.
Context
You easily
is
could.
necessary. You need to know that the world of this game doesn't make any fucking sense.
Fair enough.
Dom had a chance to sit down and make an MK timeline from scratch, and he couldn't make it make sense. That's the context. So anyway, Sindel comes into the story in Chapter 3, which is Kitana's chapter. She's in the process of turning against Shao Kahn, and she has ended up captured and in the Netherrealm for some reason, basically. She was trying to escape to Earth, and somebody changed the destination of the portal to strand her in the Netherrealm. Quan Chi, he has her in his clutches, and he's, like, telling her that he's resurrecting Sindel as a gift to Shao Kahn. Like, this is his payment. He's agreed to join me and Shinnok in our plans to help Shinnok take over the realms, and in return, I'm gonna bring Sindel back to life and give her to him. And while doing this, Quan Chi is the one to tell her, by the way, Jared was your real father, not Khan. Sindel never liked Khan. They used the 9 version, where she killed herself to protect Earthrealm. So we're still avoiding the idea of committing suicide because you have mental illness and you're trying to get away from Shao Kahn. Dom's still not comfortable doing that much.
It had to be a noble sacrifice.
We are presented with Sindel was originally good, and I'm bringing her back under mind control.
It's something.
Yeah. So this happens, and then Kitana sort of fights her way free and gets back to the other heroes, and things continue on. Sindel spends the entire game as basically the MK3 version of Sindel, at Shao Kahn's side, under mind control. The one weird twist of how the game presents her is that when it gets near to the end of the game, Quan Chi reveals that Sindel's resurrection is temporary. They only did it to, like, trick Shao Kahn into working with them, and Sindel's gonna, like, fall apart and be dead again in days. We never actually see this happen. The game ends before that's resolved, but they'd throw that in there.
Weird, okay.
Yeah.
I remember that line. In fact, I took some screenshots before starting this episode, and Quan Chi tells Shao Kahn, I guess he's talking about Bihan here, Noob Saibot. He exactly served his intended purpose, as has Sindel. Her return to you is only temporary. She needed to live just long enough to make you believe I could be trusted. In a few days, she will cease to exist.
Yeah. There is another weird thing, though, where the very end of the game, So the game ends with Raiden defeating Shinnok, sealing him in his amulet, and then dumping the amulet in the Sea of Blood so no one can ever find it again. If you could just dump things in the Sea of Blood, why didn't they do that when Shinnok betrayed them, thousands of years ago?
He can swim through blood?
Why is the
Really well?
Why has the amulet been guarded in the Temple of Elements instead of... Why didn't you just throw it in the Sea of Blood to begin with?
Sea of Blood's a bit of a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe the Sea of Blood is a bad idea for the lore. Maybe it's like... You know how when Last Jedi came out and it had that scene where Laura Dern, flies her ship into all of the Empire's ships at hyperspeed to destroy them? And then people started going, if you can do that, why haven't people been doing it all along? Take, one tiny craft and autopilot to crash into the entire Empire.
What was it again? A small thermal port directly beneath the main port. Why do you need to aim for that when you can just light speed a ship through the fucking Death Star?
Yeah, why not find, one heroic pilot who will kamikaze the Death Star at hyperspeed? Or a ship on autopilot that'll kamikaze the Death Star at hyperspeed.
No one even needs to be in it. Just keep on light speeding shuttles at the thing until you hit the mark.
Those ships don't have to be manned. They can be piloted by droids.
Yeah, that's a thing you could do. It's just, maybe you shouldn't introduce things without thinking about the consequences first. Maybe the idea of a bottomless sea where things can just be lost forever is a bad thing for the Mortal Kombat universe.
Just because it's a good new idea doesn't mean it's a good new idea.
Well, I will say this. Even if it is a bottomless sea, doesn't that... it doesn't make sense. I mean, what? It's an infinite sea?
What is stopping someone who
Can teleport?
Can cast can't they just teleport to the amulet or teleport the amulet to them? Because I was also going to ask, why didn't the Elder Gods throw the amulet into outer space? Nobody in Mortal Kombat has a spaceship. And the obvious answer would be, you could teleport. So anyway, that's how the game ends. But I bring that up specifically to say, a lot of characters die before that, including the Elder Gods. There's this whole problematic section where the Deadly Alliance gets Shinnok's powers, and they kill the Elder Gods. And then when Shinnok gets his powers back, he tries to kill the Deadly Alliance, and it doesn't work because they still have some of his powers, and Shinnok is indestructible. But Shinnok is indestructible because he's an Elder God, so why did it work on the Elder Gods?
Can't see it, but I'm rubbing my temples.
The Elder Gods are dead, a few other characters are dead, and then when Raiden beats Shinnok and stops him from merging Netherrealm with the other realms, it undoes all of the deaths and all of the bad things. The Elder Gods come back to life, the dead characters come back to life, it just all magically goes back to the way it was, like the end of an 80s cartoon.
It's like when you banish Mixyezpitlik back to the fifth dimension by getting him to say his own name backwards. And by the way, you'll never trick me into saying Kill Tipsyism. Damn it. But as soon as you do that, all of his magic is immediately undone.
Well, I'm actually reminded of... I'm a big fan of the late 90s Ghostbusters revival cartoon, Extreme Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
But that show had a little problem where it kind of wanted to be edgy and make the ghost really scary. So, for example, there's an episode where a ghost steals people's eyeballs.
Nice.
When the Ghostbusters catch the ghost, everybody gets their eyeballs back. It just magically happens. Because it's a kid's cartoon, and we can't, have permanent consequences for anything.
Even Johnny Cage said it at the end of Annihilation.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a weird thing. All of the monks came back to life, but Johnny's still dead. Didn't we talk about that?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, right. It's like someone says, hey, what if Johnny's still alive? And then they go over to his corpse and a bunch of flies are buzzing around it. Oh, no, it didn't work on him.
Yeah. So Onslaught ends with everything Shinnok did being undone, but it doesn't tell us how that affects Sindel, or, Frost has turned Kuai Liang into Cyber Sub-Zero. It doesn't tell us if the Cyber Initiative has been undone. Because that happened during the events of the game. Has that been undone? We just don't know.
So the question is, at least as far as this episode, Does Sindel actually disintegrate after a few days like Quan Chi said she would?
Yeah.
Or do the good guys try and find a way to save her?
Well, we'll never know, because I'm sure there's never going to be a sequel to Onslaught.
That game got a comic book and it didn't even get a physical release.
Oh yeah, it had a one-shot comic,
did
which was
get a
basically just
physical
sort
release.
of a...
Did it?
It's sort of like the MK versus DC comic, where it's just sort of a prologue, just an intro to the universe of Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Or at least the version of it that Onslaught presents.
Yes, the intro to the Mortal Kombat universe as outlined by Onslaught. I do have a physical release of that comic. It's very limited edition. I have to thank Dom for sending it to me. That was very nice of him.
Well, this is awkward. No, seriously, did they actually do a physical version of it? I was under the impression the only copies out there were actually self-made. I saw a few of them.
They weren't self-made. They were published in very limited numbers by NetherRealm.
Well, I'm sorry you have that in your home.
I love it.
I'm sorry, dude. I know that, you talk to them every now and then, and, it's probably a bad look for you even being on this show with us. I know they hate us.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You know what? Honestly, you didn't like what they did with Sindel. You were very vocal about it. Even I said it on my YouTube channel that I was not a fan of that change. And you know what? A lot of the community was, and I got to give them credit for undoing it. They retconned the retcon. They made Sindel good again in Onslaught. They made Sindel good again in 12. And, I think they've learned their lesson. I think they're going to stick with Sindel being on the side of good from now on.
Well, I hope so, but when are we going to get Hanzo, Scorpion, and Kuai Liang Sub-Zero back? Like, now they have 30 times as many characters to fix. Sindel's like the only one who's doing what she should be doing.
Are we moving on to MK12 now? Is this the shifting point?
I think we are done with Onslaught. There's not a big reason to spend a lot of time on there.
Yeah, I think once you got to the end of Onslaught, that was it. Sindel, we don't know her fate, but in this particular timeline, Sindel's existence, her resurrection is just temporary, and she'll self-destruct after a little while. Or so Quan Chi says. And it's a question mark. We don't know what's going to happen to her. And like you said, they're probably not going to follow up on this.
I just think it's kind of a weird thing to add. Like, by the way, she's going to turn to dust in a couple days. Haha, gotcha. Because that's not there in any other timeline. I don't know. I look at it as like Dom's idea of what the old timeline looks like, but through a funhouse mirror. That's sort of the best explanation for Onslaught that I can give.
It is a different take on it. It is like he's trying to go more original. He's trying to go more OG, but it's still his own take on it.
It borrows a surprising amount of, like, little pieces of lore you wouldn't expect someone new to remember. Like, the soul stones from Deception, the obelisks that you can recharge from in the Netherrealm are part of the plot.
That's actually pretty neat.
Yeah, the Slaughterhouse is a stage. I think it's the only 3D era stage, but it's in there. Oh no, the Nexus is in there. They brought back the Nexus.
They did. No, there's a lot of nice 3D era references in it. It's nice.
Yeah.
No, I think they did pretty good with it, to be honest. It doesn't fit the exact storyline. It's, you can't place it before MK2 or after MK4. It doesn't really fit in the MK universe. It's like you said, it takes place after MK1 and then it's different direction.
It's very similar to Shaolin Monks in that it's this weird and not very good alternate history of what could have happened after MK1.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. But you know what? I do like seeing Raiden as the Thunder God and Liu Kang as Immortal, and it does feel a little bit more like a classic Mortal Kombat, like a MK9, MKX era kind of thing.
It was nice to see, like, the Temple of the Elements acknowledged and the other gods back there in the stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it is what it is, but then there's MK1, Liu Kang's take on his new timeline. So I guess we got to get into that. Or, I'm sorry, MK12 as we're calling it, right?
I can't.
You can't not.
I cannot do it.
I don't like trying to have conversations where we call the new game MK1 because then it becomes confusing when I try to talk about the 1992 game.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a matter of principle and practicality to me. I can't do it.
Also, it is a direct sequel to 11. There's no reason to give it a new subtitle.
I'm just going to close off Onslaught discussion by just saying I don't want to be down on it. I just have no interest in it. I've seen a lot of the art assets that are used in like endings and whatnot, and it's some of the most beautiful stuff art-wise that's come out of Mortal Kombat in years and years. Like there's sketches of Shao Kahn that I really love, that really give me those feels. And it's nice.
It has Cabal's classic costume, like exactly the way it is in MK3. I wish people would rip that model and put it into the other games. That would be nice. I really like the game's design for Cyber Smoke. So, it has some stuff.
There's a lot of good points about Onslaught, but I will say it's not really my kind of a game. I never downloaded the game. I've never played it.
I don't really play mobile games.
I liked watching the cutscenes, though. I like seeing the cinematics, the story mode. It's really good to get caught up and see at least what are they doing with the lore.
It definitely helps you get sort of a picture of what Mortal Kombat might look like in Dom's head as he tries to keep it all straight.
Yeah.
I'm starting to look at these things through like the lens of time,
Hmm.
We were very fortunate, our generation of players, MK players at least, to like have been there at or near the start of it, and we saw this stuff, this universe and these characters come about mostly fully formed to be fleshed out later on as time went on. We were there to like see their genesis, and we had like a decade and a half to watch all this unfold and come to one conclusion, such as it was. And to some extent, the NRS games and Onslaught and even MK1, they're just... I don't need to see someone else's version of Star Wars, It just... I think to me, MK is a thing that happened, and everything else is for the next generation.
Well, yeah, it goes back to what I said about how I don't like reboots and remakes. I don't really see the point in telling the story again, but telling it different. The thing about the original MK trilogy, the arcade games, is that they didn't have pre-rendered cutscenes. So we technically haven't seen it the way it actually happened yet. So I'm always open to an interpretation of that. And I'd like to get that once in my life before we run away with all these fan fiction ideas.
I don't disagree.
It's almost impossible to do in a way that won't contradict something that's already been established. You know what I mean?
The only way we get what we want is if we write it ourselves, I've always said.
Pretty much.
It's MK12.
Yes, the new era.
All right, so I guess at the end of MK11, Raiden sacrifices his power, gives it up to Liu Kang. He's established as the new fire god, and he decides he's going to remake time as he sees fit. They restart time. Liu Kang shapes people's destinies, and Sindel just is one of the many mortals' destinies that he influences.
Yeah, I want to say first things first, that throughout 12, Liu Kang, there's contradicting versions of like, I didn't, decide your destiny for you. I still gave you freedom of choice. And then there are other characters where he's like, man, it's a good thing I made Havoc weaker in my timeline. Like, pick a side, man. Either you are sticking your fingers in everybody's pies or you're not.
Maybe a few characters. Definitely Shang Tsung. He definitely weakened Shang Tsung deliberately.
I have deep moral concerns, like, right and wrong. Is Liu Kang a good person for doing this? Concerns about the idea of an active god deliberately changing people's life stories, their backgrounds and where they came from. Especially when there are a lot of changes that don't really seem to serve a purpose, like turning a male character female, or turning a female character male, or having Quan Chi be from Outworld instead of Netherrealm. Shang Tsung is now born in Outworld instead of Earth.
I could kind of see some of the gender stuff being unintentional.
See, that's what I wonder. Is it possible for anything in Liu Kang's timeline to be different by accident?
Has to be. Like, the Tarkat disease has to be a good example of this. He wanted to give Baraka a normal life. He wanted to let him just be a merchant. And yet this disease comes out and turns him into a mutant. And it's like he couldn't escape his fate.
See, that would have been more interesting if the game had a stance or a message of like, no matter what you try and do,
Inevitability.
yeah, if some people are meant to live a certain life or become a certain thing, and even God can't change it. If that had been part of the plot, that would have been interesting.
That's actually where I thought they were going with it for the first 2/3 of the game.
Yeah, it seemed like it, but Tarkat is actually the only example in the game of that being a thing. And we're still not actually really clear if it is a thing. Like, maybe Tarkat was created by the evil Shang and the game didn't tell us, you know? The game has a problem with not giving backstories or not giving exposition.
Yeah, like we never saw Reptile's family.
Yeah, well, they were dead off screen before we met them, apparently. So here's a thought. Reptile, we are told, is the only member of the Zaterrans who has the ability to shapeshift into a human. But then there's Chameleon standing in the background, and she's canonically there because she has, like, lines of dialogue in Chaos Reigns. She's not, like, a non-canon character.
Have they said she's Zaterran, or are we just supposed to assume that maybe she's not?
Well, yeah, there's a weird line in one of the Versus intros where somebody asks about Chameleon, and Reptile says, she's Saurian, not Zaterran, as if they're two different species now.
Yeah,
Oh
that
my
was...
God! You're not fucking serious.
Nope, that's in there. That's real. And why is it real? Like, what does that add? That's just Dom forgot something, messed up, and is now covering his ass, is what I think happened there.
These aren't valid MK stories.
Yeah.
This isn't real. None of this is happening. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
They actually established in Reptile's ending that there were other of his race who could do that.
Yeah, but they were all killed off because it's like a racism thing.
Oh, well, they tried to kill them off, but I assume there was a few survivors.
Maybe. They might be out there somewhere, but they specifically say Chameleon's not one of them.
Whatever. New continuity, new era, new rules.
As another example of how the game is bad with providing backstory information. As we all know, in the original timeline, and several of the timelines to follow, the reason Sub-Zero makes ice is because he inherited it because his ancestors were cryomancers, a race of ice wizards from Outworld. In Mortal Kombat 12, Scorpion is Sub-Zero's brother, and has the traditional Scorpion special moves you would expect to see. He can, make fire and breathe fire and teleport, even though this Scorpion is Kuai Liang, Bihan's brother. So he should have inherited ice powers. So why do they have different powers? What powers did their dad have? Are they still cryomancers? It seems to be a thing in MK12 that nobody inherited magic anymore. They all went to wizard schools and just chose to specialize in a specific element for no given reason.
Rain went to wizard school.
Rain is no longer the son of Argus. He's just a guy who went to Outworld's wizard school, and we're never told why he only does water. He just prefers to only do water, I guess. Smoke is no longer an Enenra. He's just a guy who was taught magic by the Lin Kuei, and he chooses to only use smoke magic because it's good for ninja shit, I guess. So I guess Scorpion and Sub-Zero just learned fire magic and ice magic at Hogwarts, is what's going on. They don't tell us that, but you have to assume if it's the same deal as Smoke. Dom's ideal Mortal Kombat is apparently just Harry Potter.
I mean, the idea is that this is an MK for a new generation with no preconceived notions of all the rules that we're so intimately familiar with.
Yeah, but then they have the multiverse show up and all the intros reference previous games.
I've often wondered who these games are for, and I think that they try to make them for everyone.
Yeah, they try and throw a little something for
In
everybody.
bits and pieces, but wind up pleasing no one.
Yeah, you can't please everybody, you just end up pleasing nobody. You have to pick a side. Either it's a fresh start, or it's member berries. You can't have both.
Well, I'm thinking that this whole thing, I think that the problem with the MK12 storyline was that it establishes itself early on as, hey, Liu Kang restarted time, so this is now the new timeline as shaped by Fire God Liu Kang.
Right.
But by the end of story mode, it's already a full-out multiverse. This Liu Kang's world is just one of many parallel worlds. they're all existing simultaneously. And I think it was too soon to get into that.
Yeah, it was too soon, but also, I want to say that they also do a bad job with the multiverse stuff.
Oh no, it's a terrible third act. It just, like, crushes any momentum the first two began to develop.
Let me give some examples of, like, how the way they use the multiverse doesn't even make sense. When we get to, like, the last chapter at the knockoff version of the Armageddon Pyramid, we see huge armies of characters from all across the multiverse, from every different possible world. But the only one we see who's familiar from a previous game is MK3 Cybersmoke. Like, everybody else is a new design.
Who is, at the time of this writing, still unavailable in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that skin is not playable. Okay, so once the plot really starts going, it's Liu Kang's universe that he created versus a universe that Shang Tsung from Aftermath created, because, like, since the end of 11 Aftermath is multiple choice, they decided both of them came true. Liu got a universe and Shang got a universe. But in the universe Shang made, Smoke uses a karambit just like in Liu's universe. Rain uses a staff just like in Liu's universe. Shao Kahn has giant horns just like in Liu's universe.
Once I realized what had happened, I peeked over your shoulder when you weren't looking and copied your universe homework.
Havoc did the same thing. Havoc decided to also make Shao Kahn just a general Shao. Havoc also decided to make Cyrax and Sector women this time around, and it's very, very bizarre.
Yeah, every timeline, the characters who have new movesets they've never had before, even their multiverse counterparts have the new moveset. Like, we meet another Rain in Chaos Reigns who also uses a staff, and we meet a Tanya in Chaos Reigns who also uses the 3-section staff, even though Tanya's never fought like that in any previous game, and we should be meeting multiverse Tanyas who are more similar to original Tanya.
Limitations. Lack of foresight.
Here's a funny one, actually. I want to go back to Onslaught for a second. So, Onslaught got some later characters added who had their own non-canon side story modes. One of the characters they added was the 12 version of Shang. So the plot is that he's from the MK12 universe, and he, multiverse jumped into the world of Onslaught. And as he's walking around, everybody he meets goes, "You're not Shang Tsung, you have a different face and voice." So they're acknowledging that 11 Shang looks like Kerry Tagawa and sounds like Kerry Tagawa, and 12 Shang looks like the guy from 12 and sounds like the guy from 12.
But in 12, the one who's supposed to be the one from 11
the guy
who
who's
won.
Yeah, the guy who's supposed to be Aftermath Shang has the same face and voice as 12 Shang. Also, it never occurs to any of them that Shang is a shapeshifter and could change his face. There's no consistency.
There's never been, not for a long time. I thought we've established this.
That stuff I can just look at and laugh off. I mean, that just clearly seems like a meta kind of a joke.
It wouldn't bother me if it was, like, an isolated incident. But when you pile it onto all the other, like, I've always been bothered by the fact that they change voice actors and face models every single game. And, like, that's a thing that they've been doing since, like, they recast MK3 characters because, half of their blue screen models went with Dan Pesina in the lawsuit, so they had to, like, fire him. But, like, I never thought of Ho Sung Pak or Eddie Wong as the real Liu Kang anyway. I always thought of the real Liu Kang as the one John Tobias drew in the 2D art.
Harsh.
And those are just actors playing him. Like, Christopher Reeve isn't Superman. Henry Cavill isn't Superman. Superman, the real Superman, is a guy on a sheet of paper, and those are actors who play him. And sometimes actors get recast. I get that. But I liked the way they did it in the 3D era, where they weren't basing the faces on photography of real people. They were modeling their own faces, and they kept those faces the same for 3 games in a row.
I understand your point, and I empathize. But I'll just tell you in advance, if you ever tell me Michael Keaton isn't Batman, I'll shut your whore mouth, but good. Comprende?
Michael Keaton might be Batman.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I just wanted to point out that it's funny that you're talking about changing the actors or the face models, because we have gotten far away from the topic of Sindel, but there is a scene in MK12 where they flash back to MK11 Aftermath, and you actually see the different face models there. That's insane.
That's true. And actually, there is something that sort of is applicable to Sindel here, and it's in 11. 11 is the first time, in my opinion, that Kitana has a design that's very visually Asian.
Yeah.
Yes, easily.
Like, traditionally, she's been played by some, like, I think Ketelyn Zamiar is, like, Italian?
She's Latina.
That doesn't sound like an Italian name, Zamiar.
Hispanic or whitish or something in that ballpark. Becky Gable.
She's Cuban.
Okay, yeah. So basically Hispanic. So, and then Talisa Soto is Hispanic. So Kitana has had a lot of like Hispanic actresses, and her appearance in Gold and the 3D era is based mostly on Talisa. Her appearance in 9 is kind of a female Michael Jackson for some reason.
It wasn't a good time.
No.
It was just not a good time.
I don't know what they were going for, but that nose was a mistake. You know, she's always been, like, racially ambiguous, leaning towards Caucasian or Hispanic. 11 is the first time that they explicitly, like, based her face on an Asian actress or model. And then when they depicted Jared and Sindel, they're both white. So while 11 was out, I was complaining a lot of, like, why doesn't Sindel match Kitana? Or at least, why doesn't Jared match Kitana? You can paint his face any way you want. He's just a painting. He's not actually in the game. But you see him in the ending.
Well, 12 had a little bit to do with that, didn't it?
Well, yeah, 12 actually kind of corrected that. Like, Kitana
Yes.
is still Asian, now Sindel is Asian too.
And she looks pretty damn good
She
also.
still looks like Sindel. It does work, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
I have very kind things to say about Sindel for most of MK12.
I just thought that was interesting, that it's sort of a thing that didn't have consistency and then they did correct it.
It's nice to see it when it does happen.
If you're going to make Kitana
Yeah.
Asian, then Melina, Sindel, the whole family kind of has to be more Asian as well to match.
Yeah. Or at the very least, just, you could say that Jared is Asian and that they are mixed. And then you could avoid having to recast your face model. But they recast the face models every game anyway. Like, why does it have to be every single game? I don't know. I'll also point out that in 12, so Jared is traditionally depicted as, like, an old man, balding, gray hair, and a beard.
Usually, more often than not.
In 12, there is a painting of him and Sindel in, like, the Sindel's throne room stage. He weirdly looks like Liu Kang now. Like, Liu has changed people to look a little bit more like himself in his universe.
He truly did create the world in his image.
Go through the roster and look at how many of the characters kinda look too much like Liu. And maybe you could break that up with less people tying their hair into a man bun, give a few of them facial hair, just a little something. Like, not everybody has to be the clean-shaven, long-haired Asian man.
It's time for the man buns to die, people.
It really
It was
is.
time several years ago.
You know, Bihan and Kuai Liang are both short-haired every time we've ever seen them unmasked. Except in this game. And, like, Raiden's got one, too, and he used to have, like, really long, loose hair that was silver. And I get that it's not going to be silver because he's not a god anymore. But why is it still, like, neck length and in a man bun? Everybody looks the same, and they all look kind of like Liu, which makes me think that there's something wrong with his universe, that he's got too much ego. And I shouldn't think of too much ego when I think of Liu Kang.
Avarice and ego has once again proved his undoing.
That's not his character. But yeah, that's just something that bothers me. Everybody looks like fucking Liu Kang in Lu's universe. Except, there is one. So in MK12, Havoc has been mashed up with Dairu, and they look like a white guy. Dairu used to be Asian.
I'm cutting so much of this out.
I'm just gonna say it again in a future episode.
The topic is a little too racy, huh?
Did you actually just do that?
I did.
He did.
Nice.
He did, and I think you should leave all of this in to justify that joke.
I did share the MK1 bio in the Discord for Sindel.
Yes.
Yes, let's read that, shall we? When Sindel ascended to Outworld's throne, she worried that she was ill-prepared. Adding to her stress, her impending arranged marriage to Gerard, an Outworld noble. Forced into it to placate a rebellious region, Sindel could only pray that he was worthy. To Sindel's delight, Gerard proved an ideal partner. Her early reign marked the start of a new golden age. Sindel then welcomed her beautiful twin daughters, Melina and Kitana. She thanked the gods for her charmed life. But Sindel had counted her blessings too quickly. When Gerard was murdered, Sindel's heart was broken. Smelling weakness, factions formed to challenge her rule. As her enemies conspire, Sindel fights to protect her family and her empire. She will do whatever it takes to defend her daughter's birthright. That's one of very few MK12 bios that does not use the word orphan.
It does not use the word what?
Orphan.
Hmm.
It's a running joke I have.
That's true. There's a lot of orphans in these bios.
Count them. Make a game of it.
There's also a lot of bios that start with the phrase, as a boy.
As a
Weird.
boy.
Weird running bit.
My one gripe with this, we don't know who murdered Jared. Like, it never comes up.
No, we never get an answer to this.
Yes, the entire game, people are like sort of bringing up the mystery of Jared having been assassinated before the events of the game started. Lee May was in charge of the guards when it happened, so she was like kicked out, and now she works as just a cop in the Capitol. Tanya's kind of in her place now. I think it's implied, if not outright stated, in an arcade ending that the person who killed Jared is some unnamed NPC who is like a leader or member of the guards, the Umgadi.
I think it was Joe Chill.
Yeah, it goes nowhere. Why would you give that plot point and then not make the person who did it someone important?
I was really expecting it to turn out to be Tanya. I was waiting for it. They knew I was waiting for it. They didn't give it to me.
Liu Kang specifically changed his universe so that Tanya would be good, so it's probably gonna be Jade now.
Oof.
Actually, I would not be surprised if it turned out to be Devora in a future game. Like, she was a member of the Umgadi. The Umgadi's bit is that they're recruited from the firstborn daughters of Outworld families. Which, by the way, is that every firstborn daughter in the entire kingdom? Wouldn't the Umgadi be like thousands of people if that was the case?
Logically, you'd think.
But yeah, I mean, theoretically, Devora is the first daughter or only daughter of her bug family. Chitin have families?
I would call the entire hive a family.
Yeah, no, a chitin nest probably has thousands of little hatchlings.
Also, like, if the person who did it is a nobody, why did they do it?
Right, what was the goal? You killed Jared, but it wasn't to take the throne for yourself, so what was the point?
There's no reason to even have Jared be dead, except that in every game Jared is dead. That's what we expect. But they defied expectation with so many other characters.
Ed was so happy to be teasing us with the fact that we'd get to play a character we never played before, and it turns out to be Jared Ermac.
Liu Kang couldn't have kept Jared alive in this timeline?
It is a strange thing to keep consistent, yeah.
Ermac, with Jared in him, which is basically just the 9 version, but they actually pulled the trigger on telling the story, is one of the few characters in the game who's actually similar to how they are in previous games. It would have been more interesting if you're trying to do a new timeline and have everything be new and different if Jared was just a character in the game and we finally got to play as Jared.
I mean, it's nice that we saw him briefly for a couple of moments. Didn't get much of a sense of him as a character.
No.
But it's baby steps, I guess?
I guess. I don't know. I find the idea of his personality emerging from Ermac and taking dominance and doing stuff, it doesn't have anywhere near the impact it would have if it had happened in a game that wasn't the first game in its timeline. You know, like if you set it up and then waited to do it, it would work better than just doing it at the very beginning of the new thing.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about the push for multiverses.
This game does feel like it's trying to set up a lot of future events as we know them. Like, we went into this knowing Bihan would be Noob Saibot, and
I feel like everything it sets up, it immediately pays off. The game ends with nowhere left to go. I feel like MK12 is very self-contained, and 13 could be another different timeline. It doesn't need a sequel.
could be. I still feel like there's room for a Tom Holland reptile to go crazy, though. Grew up in the circus. How do you not go crazy? But yeah, so Sindel in MK12.
Yes. Presented very much how you would expect of, like, Deception Sindel, where she's, you know, the good person. It is kind of the lengthiest we've ever got to see her act like a good person in cutscene form in anything.
Yeah, definitely. As a whole, I would say that Sindel's appearance in 12 is, as Tabmok said earlier, very much a response to the way that people reacted to the 11 Sindel retcon. This is the good person we've always wanted to see. And the game portrays her, goes out of its way to portray her as like a really good ruler, you know, responsible for a whole golden age of 1,000 years at least. It goes out of its way to show us that she is willing to give even people she doesn't trust an ear or the benefit of the doubt. Like, you know, she respects General Shao, but she keeps him at arm's length, but she's still going to listen to what he has to say.
Exactly.
And she has plenty of reason to not trust Liu Kang, but she's still listening. She's a wise ruler. She has an open ear.
They do a good job with the idea of her as, like, a diplomat. The game starts us off with this premise of, like, Earthrealm and Outworld every so many years have a tournament, like Mortal Kombat, except that it's not to the death, and it doesn't mean anything if you lose other than you will look weak in the eyes of the other realm. Like, it's minor political. It's like the Olympic Games.
It's a peaceful competition. It was established by Liu Kang and Jared, who founded the tournament together to, quote, foster peace among realms.
Yeah. Here's actually my question about the world building and the choices Liu Kang made when he created this universe. So, Sindel is the Empress of Outworld, and Outworld is the way we are used to seeing it, where it's, you know, there are Edenians, and there are Shokan, and there are Centaurs, you know, all the races living in one realm. But it doesn't seem like that's the result of any conquering and merging. Liu Kang just created a universe where there are less realms, and most of them are part of Outworld from the start. And my question is, why did he do that?
Well, I think Chaos Realm was just not good, not a good spot. It didn't have any place for him in this new universe, so he just decided to make Order Realm its own thing, and anybody who's from there, well, they can be, anyone from Chaos Realm can actually be part of Order Realm now. And with Edenia and Outworld, it's the opposite.
I'm not convinced that there isn't a Chaos Realm. Just because, like, when you walk around through the, what is that mode called? With the map. You know, where you walked from fight to fight. Their big adventure mode in the game. What's that called?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Ugh.
We all installed the game a year ago. None of us remember.
Yeah, I haven't been playing it. Well, in that mode, you occasionally, like, get sucked into Chaos Realm and you do a couple fights there and then you get back out. So, I think Chaos Realm still exists. Havoc's just not from there anymore.
I was under the impression that that was Chaos Realm and that it was established and Up until this very moment, I assumed that it was part of the Chaos Reign storyline, is it not?
Well, the Chaos Reign storyline is Liu Kang's Earth being attacked by a universe that's ruled by Havoc.
Havoc, the one from the previous timeline, where that Havoc defeated Kronika.
It's a world where if Havoc defeated Kronika and then proceeded to merge all the realms in his universe with Chaos Realm. His Chaos Realm.
Okay.
So it's a multiverse Chaos Realm. It's not Liu's Chaos Realm.
Invasion mode, that was it.
That's it.
Invasion mode, yes. So Chaos Realm appears in Invasion mode, so I think Liu's universe has a Chaos Realm. It's just that Havoc isn't from there, because Havoc is actually Dairu, and that's a whole thing. But what I want to know is, wouldn't the universe be more peaceful if Edenia and the Shokan and the Centaurs and the Outworlders, etc., were all off in their own realms, separate and segregated from each other, and Liu deliberately avoided letting anyone learn how to make portals? Wouldn't that be a safer universe? Liu seems to be real into visiting all the realms and having them all get to know each other, which puts them at risk of being conquered by each other. Why does he have this peace tournament, him and Jared, when all that's doing is letting General Shao know that Earth exists? Why not just keep realms secret from each other?
I don't want to risk setting off a long discussion about what counts as authoritarianism. You have to let your citizens have a certain degree of liberty, you know?
Right, but the magic of portals and of invading realms, it should be forbidden to begin with. In the old timeline, Shao Kahn wasn't supposed to be doing that. The Elder Gods let him, but they didn't approve of it. I just feel like if you created a universe where Shao Kahn didn't have the power to make portals, because he's just some military guy with an axe, then none of the realms would know each other's exist. Shao Kahn is the reason that realms know about each other, more or less.
It's a good point.
Pretty well.
Here's the thing, is that, so in the MK12 version of Outworld, Baraka used to be Edenian before he got the Tarkat disease. Edenia isn't a location anymore. It's the Outworld word for human.
It is.
I don't know.
The whole contest is a little bizarre. Liu Kang specifically says, "I would never knowingly send my champions into mortal combat."
He's dropping the title.
We're using that term as like a catch-all for not just the tournament, but for an actual deadly conflict.
Right. He would never send his warriors into a fight for the death.
He is saying it in the generic sense, but I also think, like, Dom put that line in, and then he went, you see what I did there? I said the thing.
Yep.
You know who else says the thing? Sindel. She has to say it has begun to kick off the tournament.
There are, I want to say, like 35 to 40% of the dialogue in MK12 is repeating lines that people said in MK9.
Yeah, there's a lot of definite callbacks.
It has never been more member berries than it is in 12. People are constantly quoting previous games in this game.
If only they looked at the camera while doing so.
If they were a little more self-aware about it, I'd have been less annoyed, yeah.
Anyway, so Sindel hates the fuck out of Li Mei for getting Jared killed.
Oh yeah. Every Outworlder in this game is super mean to Li Mei.
She has no friends.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
She hates Li Mei worse than she hates the actual murderer.
What was the line she has? Like, oh, if you actually do decent, you'll be more than exceeding my expectations. That's a painful verbal bitch slap if I've ever seen one. So yeah, three-dimensional, wise ruler, benevolent, carries a grudge.
There's a scene I actually really like, where,
It's her and General Shao, isn't it?
it's just after that. General Shao leaves the room, and Melina comes in so that Sindel can scold her as a mom and be like, what were you thinking going out unattended at night and catching this disease? You know, like, oh, that's the problem. You weren't thinking. You never use your head. She sounds
She's
like a
being
mom.
a bomb. Yeah, finally, right? We get a little bit of that.
She is.
That was one of the few scenes I really liked in the story.
I like her putting General Shao in his place. he starts getting rowdy at the dinner table, like a little bit drunk. He starts borderline insulting the Earthrealmers, and
Yeah.
then like immediately after, it's like, what are you doing? Why are you like this? Your own father raised you better than this, you know? You should remember that war is the last resort, not the first.
If you're gonna set up this new backstory about Shao Kahn's dad, and like how he was a good general and he should have raised his son a certain way, but all his son got out of it was the importance of strength or whatever, I would really like to know the father character.
That would be nice.
I think he sounds more interesting than General Shao is.
Maybe he was more like the original Shao Kahn was.
Maybe.
We never find out what his name was. We don't know much about him.
We don't even know his name, yeah.
But anyway, I like that. I do like the whole verbal smackdown she gives Kahn.
Me too. But one of my favorite scenes is the debate that she has with Liu Kang about, if you created us, does that mean you created my destiny? And am I supposed to thank you for creating me? And all that stuff that she questions him on.
Look at who plays her, because like she actually does a really good job of selling it as if she's half unsure and half snarky about it. It's like, am I supposed to bow to you now? What do I do?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do when you're faced with the living creator of your entire universe?
Isn't it the same voice actress she had in 11?
Well, then kudos to her if it is, because she's got some good range.
Yeah.
I think her performance here is actually much, much, much better.
It's, Mara Junot? Juno? I don't know if the T is silent or not.
I'm gonna say silent.
But yes, it's the same voice in both 11 and 1.
Well, kudos to Mara Juno, 'cause she does a good job.
Evil Sindel, good Sindel, she's done it all.
She also did Serena's voice, which means she has both of Leah Montalongo's roles.
That's wow, that's funny.
Yeah, and it definitely shows her range that she played evil Sindel and good Sindel.
I think she was much more convincing as good Sindel.
From an acting standpoint, I certainly have no problems with Sindel in 11.
I do think the whole trust I loved your father might come off a bit too faux and sincere.
I mean, you have to read what's on the page, and that's a shitty line on the page. Anytime a character in a thing says, trust me, and you know that they're going to betray you later, honestly, I don't even like it when people who are trustworthy say the phrase, trust me. It's just a suspicious thing to say, no matter what the context.
It reminds me of Raiden and MK Shaolin Monks going up to both of them.
Yeah.
Do you trust me? And it was
Do
Shang
you
Tsung.
trust me? It's the first thing he says as Shang Tsung pretending to be Raiden.
Just need to be wiping blood off of a knife.
Hey, you guys trust me, right? Okay, just checking.
You trust me? I should create a portal and send you to the Outworld, like, right now. You trust me, right?
Yeah. I need you to do some really shady shit. You trust me?
Don't ask questions. Don't ask me questions.
I did trust you until you asked if I trust you. That's weird.
What else have we got from Sindel? She kind of disappears for a large swath of the story until way later on, when they're talking to her about all the horrors that Quan Chi and Shang Tsung are doing.
That tends to be a consequence of the chapter system. That happens to every character in every game.
But, you get this really great moment where she's just staring at the horrible flesh bits abomination. The scene just cuts in on her face, and she's got this great look of disbelief, revulsion. It's an amazing moment.
The heroes have come to her and is like, by the way, did you know Shang Tsung has a basement full of gross shit? Cut to her in the basement full of gross shit, just being like, what the fuck?
It's great. Finally someone is reacting to the flesh bits the way a normal person would. I like it.
She had no idea what Shang Tsung was up to.
The irony is that Shang was actually working on a cure for the Tarkat disease before the good guys started coming after him.
They were a little too suspicious of him.
I mean, he was torturing people in his nasty basement, and he was working for a multiversal version of himself that was pretending to be Kronika, and they were building soul-stealing machines to take over the realms with and all that stuff. But
he did try to cure Melina.
He was also trying to cure Tarkat for real.
Because he might get that Tarkat himself. He doesn't want that.
Yeah.
What a guy. What a nice guy.
So story mode, her role in it culminates. So there's a bit in story mode where the heroes follow Shang Tsung and Quan Chi to a tomb in Earthrealm, where they are going to resurrect an army of mummies very similar to the ones Onaga had in Deadly Alliance, but not the same one. It's the army, but it's in Earthrealm, and it has nothing to do with Onaga.
We're doing a Deadly Alliance.
Yeah. I have a lot of problems with this sequence, but I'm just gonna stick to the Sindel stuff.
Thank you. We'll be here all night.
So they start fighting, and then Shang Tsung reveals fake Chronica, the person he's working for, and fake Chronica, who calls herself Damashi for no reason?
Fake Chronica is Damashi is real Shang Tsung from End of 11.
Yeah, there's no reason to use that name other than empty member berries, but there you go. Anyway, when fake Chronica reveals herself to actually be the Shang from 11, he sicks his version of Raiden and Sindel on them, and it's 11 Dark Raiden, and it's evil Sindel from 11.
I'm not sure if is it that version? It seems like it could be vaguely from anywhere.
It's not exactly that it's the ones from Shang's universe, which are similar to those versions. They are dressed the same and whatnot. So, evil Raiden is defeated by Melina, I think?
Yes, this is Melina's chapter you're playing in.
Yeah, which is, it doesn't make Raiden look particularly powerful, does it? But
Chapter system.
So, then the evil Sindel, all the heroes get around her in a circle.
It happens again.
They almost shot for shot reenact the massacre scene from 9, except that this time she doesn't kill anybody. Until she fights our Sindel, the good Sindel. And in that fight, our Sindel gets stabbed and dies.
Dark Sindel uses her hair, and a nice little bit of animation, going back to what I said earlier, grabs a sword and puts it through her gut in the middle of their mirror match.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it's nice that after all this time a mirror match finally became canon.
I think it's funny. In MK9, they specifically made sure Liu Kang wasn't there because presumably then the massacre wouldn't have happened. In this version, Liu is there, and he's more powerful than he used to be, and he still gets bodied.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Sindel.
Yeah, it's just, why is Sindel so strong? Dom doesn't care, he just decided that she is.
And see, this is the thing that gives me pause for reflection about the way that they responded to the 11 criticisms and this.
Yeah.
Because to a very large degree, the way our Sindel in this game is written, good Sindel, Empress Sindel, feels kind of like an apology for 11, but only to a point.
Yeah.
And this is that point. This is the, oh, by the way, putting a hand on your shoulder, punching you in the gut. By the way, fuck you. That's what this feels like a little bit to me.
I mean, they do this is like member berries, but forcing you to remember a thing you didn't like and rubbing your face in it. But they soften it. Sindel is the only person in who dies. But they still don't have anybody use their powers. They still do the fight the same way.
Well, I think what they were really trying to do was set it up so that someone would have to take her place. Empress Melina was a logical choice here.
They needed Sindel to die so that Melina could become the queen.
Yeah.
And Melina is the one that beats evil Sindel after this scene.
I acknowledge this. This is a limitation of Sindel's character. You can't have her stick around and be Empress forever or Queen forever in any continuity because Melina has to take the throne.
Her daughter has to be the queen eventually.
I just wish it wasn't evil Sindel that killed good Sindel, you know?
That's the other thing about it, is that in a way, it is kind of, MK12 is all about origin stories. Retelling them, but in a fucked up way. And Sindel's origin story is that she killed herself. So here we are, Sindel killing Sindel.
My head hurts.
Yeah.
He wanted to make Sindel such a strong character that the only one who could take her down was another Sindel.
Dom doesn't like suicide, but he does like ironic homicide.
Self-side?
It's very strange.
I'm so very tired.
So Sindel does get to have some, touching last words with Kitana and Melina.
Yeah.
And Ermac is there, and Jared is in charge of Ermac's body. And then they do this weird thing where when Sindel dies, her soul gets sucked into Ermac's body by reflex. Like, Ermac can actually steal souls now.
He seems to do it accidentally. He's like, oh, of course. Yoink.
He's always been made of souls, but all throughout 12, he now has the ability to steal souls too.
Also, hers is purple.
Yeah, again, because Sindel's powers are purple, whenever she does soul stuff, it's gotta be purple, even though that no other character in the history of the series does soul stuff without it being green. Yeah.
Purple soul. Special.
So now both Jared and Sindel are part of Ermac. And that'll either be used to resurrect her in a sequel, or we'll see female Ermac sometimes. I don't know.
Well, that does bring us now to her ending, because in a very welcome turn of events, I say this is someone who really doesn't care much for 12 or many of the things it does. I do love the fact that the endings in the game are all unambiguously canon.
Yeah, it's the first time they've ever committed to just doing canon endings for every character. It's a shame that they're doing it now and not like 4 games ago, but...
It was overdue.
Yeah, way overdue.
Agreed.
It's kind of nice, actually. I don't hate the endings.
Shall we read it?
Be my guest.
Let's do it.
As the darkness enveloped me, I took a long last look at my family. I did not expect to see them again until their souls joined mine in the living forest. But miraculously my beloved husband delivered me from oblivion. Though he couldn't save my body, Jared had preserved my soul. Like him and countless others, I am now a part of Ermac. Yet ours is not a peaceful repose. The collected souls within Ermac have their own needs and agendas. Before we can speak as one, we must first reach consensus. I had thought as the former rulers of Outworld, I and Jared would hold sway. But here we are, 2 souls among many thousands, fighting for the right to be heard. And if there is one thing we do well together, it is fight. We will win the right to govern Ermac as we had once governed Outworld, and we will rule for the benefit of all. And that's it. They're going to be the Big Mac.
Yeah. There are other arcade endings about Ermac acting as an advisor to Melina and Kitana, and sometimes Jared's in charge and sometimes he's not.
That implies that sometimes Sindel would be in charge.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the fact that in this game, when a particular soul in Ermac becomes dominant in the body, his face changes.
I will say, in addition to him looking like Lou when he's depicted in art, Jared Mack looks kind of goofy.
Yeah, I think it's... So there's a problem with the costume designs in this game where all the ninjas' hoods are too loose, and you can see too much of, like, their forehead scalp area. And Ermac, I think, suffers from it the worst because he's bald. And also, I've always personally believed that you shouldn't be able to see Ermac's face, that he should keep it wrapped like a mummy as much as possible.
I miss mystery.
Yeah. Because I feel like if there are 10,000 different people in that body, they wouldn't be comfortable looking in the mirror because they're going to see a face that's not their own. So, like, you know, Jared's in charge and he can see his face, but the other 9,999 don't want to look at Jared's face. So they're uncomfortable with it, so they should cover that shit up.
Maybe they get used to it eventually.
With every game, Ermac becomes uncovered more and more. We're soon going to approach the point where he won't even wear a ninja hood anymore.
Picture us naked.
I don't wanna.
Too bad.
I'm psychic, now you're doing it manually.
Yep.
I would also like to point out, just for completion's sake, that there is a moment in Chaos Reigns where in Havoc's universe, he often has people fight to the death in an arena for his amusement. And we see a bunch of, like, cameos of familiar multiverse versions of characters fighting in that arena. Like, we see Li Mei in this game's version of her Deception outfit, fighting Quan Chi in this game's version of his Deadly Alliance outfit, etc. It's kind of the only time in 12 that we actually get, like, I complained about how at the Pyramid Battle there are no familiar versions of characters except Cybersmoke. We get familiar versions of characters in Chaos Reigns. as cameos, which I kind of appreciate. But a cameo that we get is Shao Kahn and Sindel working together as a loving husband and wife. So basically 11 Sindel.
That's nice. I needed more of that.
I didn't need that. That was, Dob had to sneak that one in there for his own amusement, I'm sure.
The implications of Sindel and General Shao encountering each other and interacting with each other in this game, and they're not married, and there's absolutely zero chemistry between them. That really is something.
It's good that you mentioned that. I almost forgot to bring up the fact that I do remember that before the game came out, like, that was one of the scenes I think was previewed. Her giving General Shao that dressing down, that verbal slapping. And I was convinced at that point that later on, right after that scene was done, it was going to erupt into sexual tension release. And I'm so glad, so utterly fucking glad we didn't go down that road. Thank you for not doing that to us again. Oy.
Yeah, that's something, I guess. But, yeah, I guess we could talk about, we covered all the story stuff and our opinions of how Sindel has been depicted narratively throughout the ages. That brings us to aesthetics, gameplay, costumes. Our favorite costumes and favorite fatalities are usually how we close out an episode of The Lost.
Indeed.
I mean, we talked about gameplay a little bit so far, how we generally believe that her Banshee-based special moves are something that should have been a product of her resurrection and that she shouldn't have had when she was alive, but the games kind of don't do that because it would mean depicting her without her moves sometimes, and that they can't.
They can't.
They can't.
They always have to be present, she's got to have them around.
You have to have the characters fight familiarly, and usually I'm very much for that and very frustrated when they take away moves, so... I mean, my solution would be don't ever have Sindel be playable before she died, but 12 couldn't go that route.
Well, in story mode, it is very common to fight as characters before they've fully established themselves and before they've fully established their moves. So why not?
That's actually a good point. Like, in 12, the first several times you play as Raiden, he doesn't have his electricity moves yet, because it's an origin story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We can tinker with things when it's necessary.
But Sindel isn't a character after she dies in 12. The entire time she's in 12, she's pre-death. So it's difficult to have, the gameplay and the story sync up in a satisfying way. There's a term for it called ludonarrative dissonance. And Mortal Kombat has long had problems with it, like the fact that fatalities aren't really canon, but they're such an important part of the way people think about Mortal Kombat. It has sort of forced the creators to put fatalities in the story mode more often than perhaps is a good idea. Movie adaptations like the Cole Young one and the sequel and the recent animated films are very over-the-top gory, perhaps at times that they shouldn't be. Specifically because people will complain if a Mortal Kombat thing comes out and doesn't have enough gore in it. Like, there are people who think the 95 movie is bad because it doesn't have enough fatalities. I think those people are crazy. But it exists. It's a problem. So yeah, it would be very difficult to do a Sindel where you say, hey, she didn't have the Banshee stuff until she came back at MK3. Even though that would perhaps be a version of the story that makes more sense. But there are things that come and go from game to game. In the 3D era, they could not do any of her hair moves. That was a technical limitation, so those were absent. I found it interesting that 11 brought back her Quan Dao spear from Deception.
It did, yep.
That was a very, very significant highlight for me. I enjoyed playing her with that thing.
Generally speaking, I tend to think that 3D era weapons are a throwaway that don't always fit the characters they were given to and don't need to return, but I do think the spear works for Sindel, especially because, as a narrative element, when Shujinko trains with her in Deception Conquest, she teaches him the spear specifically because it's the style of the Edenian knighthood. So there is a connection to her in that spear that other characters don't necessarily have with their weapons.
Always a great touch.
I was happy to see the spear come back in 11, actually. I like her 11 move set the weirdness of the ghost coming out of her to scream notwithstanding.
I had a lot of fun playing her in both 11 and 12.
Yeah. I didn't play her much in 12, and I am bothered by the projectile being a hair move instead of a scream move.
A third of my massive problems with 12 is the fact that, so many characters are missing classic special moves. Or have them, act for the sake of their cameos, like Johnny's Fireballs or Kung Lao's Teleport, things like that. But Sindel is by far and away, one of the characters that you play as who is easily the most reminiscent of her prior forms. It's basically Ultimate MK3 Sindel with a few bells and whistles here and there. So I found it really easy to, just slip into the MK12 Sindel and have fun. Weirdness of, the hair fireball being a thing notwithstanding.
One thing I enjoy is that she still does some of the stuff from 9 where she'll, do a handstand so she can kick you with her pointy heels.
Yeah, she does a lot of flipping, a lot of kicking. It's nice. It's cool.
Yeah.
We never brought back that stupid forward slide from Deception, though.
There's a thing. It's not in any of the official games. It's a Mugen thing. MK Project does this thing where... So original MK3 Sindel... In her auto combos, she would scratch with her fingernails. And that's what her punches would look like generally in her combos.
Yeah.
In MK Project, they add glowing streaks when she does it to really emphasize the visual of the nails.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. That's a big addition that's in the Mugen games that I wish was a part of canon MK.
All right. What else have we to say about...
Let's do favorite fatalities.
Well, we usually finish with fatalities. Let's do outfit first.
Oh, outfit first? Okay.
Outfit first. And because we've already talked a little bit at length about the MK3 outfit and what hasn't been said about it.
Yeah, it's more fitting.
We were reminded specifically after part 1 of this whole thing came out that we forgot to bring up Sindel's Deception outfits.
Yes.
Now is that time. Sometimes we do it as we're discussing characters game by game. Sometimes we do it at the end. This is one of those end times.
I already said that I kind of wish that her primary design in the 3D era had been redesigned to look more, purged of the evil from 3, something a little less classic Sindel,
It doesn't really stand out,
Yeah, her primary in Deception is really just kind of MK3 Sindel with some, gold stripes and some big weird jewelry bits attached. And they got rid of the tiny jacket.
Yes, we've lost the tiny weird jacket.
Which I like the tiny... Well, I like the popped collar. If you can incorporate that into the bathing suit, then you don't need the tiny jacket, but...
Which they didn't. They unpopped that collar.
Yeah, she does not have a big silver collar. I'm a little disappointed by that. One thing I do like about her design, though, is that they sort of added more to her makeup. She's got these weird black dots painted on her forehead that I think is interesting.
Those dots were always a little strange.
Yeah, I wonder if there's, a symbolic meaning behind that, if it's sort of It's vaguely reminiscent of the dots that Buddhist monks burn onto their heads, like Krillin and Dragon Ball. I wonder if there's something like that to do with it, or if it's just somebody was doing a fancy makeup thing just off the top of their head.
I've never really paid it too much attention before, but now that you bring it up, I really do kind of like it. It works.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and it makes you ask the question, what do the dots mean? There's no answer. I wish there was an answer, but it makes you ask, and that's more than nothing.
Mystery!
And if Katana steps up and becomes queen, will she have to wear those 2 dots?
I wonder.
Shades of Queen Amidala going on.
That's actually another point, is that her alt costume has a crown. Her primary doesn't, but her alt does. Also, her hair is tied into a ponytail, which is interesting, considering I wonder if that inhibits her hair powers in any way. Is it harder to use them when it's in a ponytail?
Furthermore, if you had complete and total control of your hair, wouldn't you just use your hair to tie your hair? Would you need a bat? I don't...
Maybe... I haven't looked close at the character model. Maybe she doesn't have a hairband and it is tied with itself.
She is wearing what around her neck? I'm trying to... This brown thing. It's sleeves that lead up into a collar.
Well, there's an interesting thing going on with her alt costume, where the color scheme isn't purple, It's like a Shao Kahnish maroon. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, if this outfit is supposed to be more like a back in the MK3 days outfit, as opposed to anything that she's canonically wearing during the present day of the game. Because that is something I've always kind of wished, and we get, like, little tastes of it in certain games, is when she's with Shao Kahn, if she was dressed more like Shao Kahn, or at least wearing his color scheme. I kind of wish they would do that. At least for alternate costumes.
This is, you think, your version of it?
Maybe a little.
Is it a loincloth hanging off of her back, or what's the deal there?
I think they're just coattail. Like, a lot of characters in Deception and 9 have... the back of their bathing suit has coattails. And it's a way for them to do, like, a coat without doing the coat. Not covering up as much skin, or not having to animate as much cape. But, yeah, I don't know. She also has some, like, weird buckles on her hips that attach her, like, garter belts to her, this strappy X thing across her chest.
It's an unusual outfit.
It looks like those might have skulls on them. Maybe I'm imagining it, or...
No, I thought the same thing too at first glance, but they just seem to be featureless buckles. They kind of look like Pac-Mans.
They do.
If you did put skulls on there, that would lend to the Shao Kahn thing.
It would. It's not a bad outfit, it's just... I've seen better. I've seen worse.
You know, the thing of these two outfits is that, generally speaking, I like the art direction of the 3D era games, especially the costume designs. I find them a satisfying middle ground between the under-detailed cosplay look of the arcade era and the over-detailed, way too busy look of the modern-day games. But there are a few characters that are a little too busy like the modern-day games, and I think Sindel is one of them. Her Deception outfits, both of them, are a little AI art-ish for me. And I don't say that as though they were designed by AI. Obviously, AI art
Didn't
wasn't
exist
a
at that
thing
point.
in 2004. It was not invented yet by decades.
Not yet.
But it looks a lot like the outfits in 12, and I believe the outfits in 12 are designed by AI art, or at least have that very generic, muddy look to them that you expect from an AI art, like Midjourney or whatever. So yeah, her Deception outfits are not my favorite, although there are bits in them that I like.
To me, they're nice, they just don't really hold a candle to the MK3 version. Still my number one.
I don't know, like, if you took the MK3 bathing suit and you added the gold trim from Deception, I think that is an improvement. It's all the other little bits and bobs that are over the top for me.
Yeah. Tabmok? Thoughts?
I guess I haven't thought too much about Sindel's costumes. My favorite was probably plain and simple, the default costume, default skin in MK9. My least favorite for her would be her, well, MK1, that upside-down crown thing. That's always looked very bizarre to me.
Yeah, she has a lot of, like, headgear, because that is her gear piece that you can change in 12, is different types of crowns. And I don't know that any of them look particularly good. Most of them look like a Roman helmet's nose piece, as opposed to an actual tiara.
They look very bizarre.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a fan of her 9 outfit. I feel like there's maybe a bit too many straps going on for its own good.
There are outfits in 9 that are trying to be a remake of an older outfit, and I appreciate those a lot more than the ones that aren't. Like, Default Scorpion, I will always use as the example of, like, this doesn't belong in this game. I'm not making a value judgment of whether it's a good outfit or not. I'm just saying it doesn't fit the aesthetic of remaking MK1 through 3. He should be wearing something more like he had in Versus DC.
Mm-hmm.
Sindel is wearing an outfit that is a redesign of her 3 outfit. It's the same one-piece swimsuit, little jacket, and the boots with the 4 straps across the thighs. Except that they turn the little jacket into a long coat with coattails that's kind of strapped around her body because the sides of her bathing suit are gone to show more skin. And I I appreciate what they're trying to do there, and there are pieces of it I like, but I do find the bare sides with the straps going across is a little silly looking.
It verges on BDSM, but doesn't work as BDSM. There's also the way that, like, the models in general look in 9. I can't call 9 a preferred version of anything.
If I was to say what my favorite Sindel costume is, and the answer overlaps with what my favorite version of the MK3 outfit is, I actually like her retro-ish look in 11 best.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The little jacket is a little jacket, but they've added a design to the one-piece bathing suit where it's sort of like a classy tuxedo waistcoat kind of thing, and I like that. So I would say, like, the 11 version of the 3 outfit is my favorite Sindel outfit, I guess, of all time.
I'm gonna actually agree with you on this. And it's very hard for me to say that kind of thing. But it's true. It's a market improvement.
Indeed.
It's a better take on the old spandex. And, while we're here, honorable mention to the 9 alternate where she's just, like, wearing a large body stocking.
Yeah, there's a lot of fishnet in there, which...
There's so much fishnet.
I'm kind of into the fishnet. Like, it fits the goth thing.
It does. I'm not being all that snarky. There's something weird about it. Like, the giant shoulder pads kind of throw the whole thing off a little bit, I find. I don't know what it is.
I actually can't decide. Do I like the 9 alt more or the X version more? Because, like, if you didn't have the boring gray Revenant skin, it's a mashup of her 2 outfits. It's the 9 primary, but with all the fishnet from the alt added in. And also, she's got, like, this interesting, like, swirly, flowery vine pattern going up the purple V.
That is a much better take on it, yeah.
I do like it, and you mentioned this point earlier, but it does fit Quan Chi and his whole thing when he brings people back or when he has people under his influence.
Yeah.
There really is a sort of a BDSM aesthetic that he has.
Yeah, he definitely likes his chicks goth.
If not for all those, like, yellow veins and stuff, I would probably say that, like, Sindel, Revenant Sindel, is the best looking bad Sindel, probably.
Something that I've always kind of wished, especially in X, is if the girls weren't Revenants with the gray skin, but instead they were dressed more like Kia Jitaka and Serena. Like if some of the Revenants were the miserable sluts of that game, you know?
You love that phrase too much.
I do.
Oh, goodness. Alright, knocking it back down and out. I do not particularly care for Sindel's Revenant outfit in 11. Once again, there's just too much going on. A lot of silver contrasted against the pale gray of the skin.
Yeah,
Eh.
It's busy and it's kind of generic.
I also do not care for her main human alternate, which is the,
I think the main human alt is a little more interesting. It's got kind of a floofy dress design to it.
It's a bit too floofy. That's my problem with it. It looks almost like a tutu. With, like, a bit dangling down to the back. I don't know.
I don't know. I think the aesthetic works.
The texture is odd. Something about this really... It's flowery. It's a very flowery-looking outfit.
I think if she wasn't evil, like if this was an Edenian queen outfit, it would make more sense, you know?
It needs a crown on it, I think, maybe.
Well, she has gear for that.
I guess.
In 11, her gear is different ways to style the top of her hair, and some of them include tiaras.
I did want to circle back to her MKX Revenant design. I didn't like the fact that her eyes had like a yellowish quality about it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know she was only there for story mode, but...
It's, again, all of the Revenants, along with the gray skin and the visible veins, they all had yellow eyes. You know what's interesting is that in the crypt, in the concept art, they were all supposed to have different unique colors for their glowing veins. So it's weird that they chose yellow for everybody for the final product.
Time-saving measure, I'm guessing.
I think it's good to have a consistency, though. Like you said earlier, where the souls are always green and until this game, and then they could have the Revenant blood always be pumping yellow. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know why yellow, because, like, Quan Chi's magic is usually green. Or, when you see a character who's evil, you expect red for the glowing. I think the veins and eyes are red in 11 for the Revenants. So it was just kind of odd that they chose yellow in X.
Yeah.
Do we have anything kind to say about her 12 outfit? When I look at it, I don't really get AI out of it so much as I get, she's about to strap a parachute to her back and jump out of a plane.
It's that a lot of characters in 12, especially the Outworld/Edenian ones, they have too many, belts and pieces of sharp metal. And they're always, in places on the body that a normal person would not necessarily wear a belt or a sharp piece of metal. And that's what feels like a robot came up with it to me. There's an odd thing with Sindel's primary costume in 12, where you've got her basic colors of purple and black and silver in there, but there's also, a lot of tannish brown, and everybody knows that tannish brown is an ugly, boring color. Why would you throw that in there and, deliberately make your character look less good?
I don't know. She looks like she's about to just, I don't know, recreationally do some, skydiving or some shit. Can't stand it. It's terrible.
It's because her top looks so much like a harness. It's this weird network of belts.
I look at Sindel and I think Amelia Earhart.
Yep. And yes, that bridge crown thing on her face covering the top of her nose is weird and unnecessary. Why is that there? Needs a crown. Anyway. So that's Tabmok. You said your favorite one was MK3 original?
MK9, the default.
MK9 default. Okay.
The 9 version of 3. Yeah.
I like the high heels, and the heels are incorporated into her moveset, so it kind of works.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And you and I both like the 11 version of 3 as our favorites.
This is probably a first for the entire series of this. We usually tend to pick the originals.
Usually, but original MK3 Sindel is a very weird outfit.
It is.
She looks like she's an Earthrealm character going clubbing. It's so odd for, stand her next to Shao Kahn, who's dressed like a naked samurai, and tell me that these two characters are a couple.
You don't always have to wear the same things as your partner, I guess. I don't know.
All of MK3 has a very modern, urban aesthetic, even the characters who don't necessarily come from Earth, which is odd.
It's strange. I'm staring at the MK3 outfit right now, and I'm thinking how weird it is that there's actually a modern outfit, a modern take on this that I like better than the original. That almost never happens. It's hard to see past your own nostalgia.
The one thing I will say is that the silver-popped collar is very de-emphasized in that 11 version of the outfit, and I would prefer the original collar more.
No argument from me.
Which is a thing the 9 version does. The 9 does not shy away from the giant silver collar.
Well, the giant silver collar matches her hair.
Yeah.
It does. I'm not considering walking back my choice. No, we'll be here all night. Alright, is it fatality time?
Favorite fatality.
Alright, I'm going to be very honest. I have forgotten everything she does after Deception. You're going to have to remind me.
So my favorite fatalities for Sindel are her 9 ones. One of them is she grabs you by the head, pulls you in close, and screams in your ear so hard,
and she pops your skull with it. Yes.
Yeah, the other half of your head explodes.
That is a good one.
And then her other one is that she screams into her own hands to make a fireball. I think she shoves it in your mouth, or is it your stomach?
Let me see.
God, I can't even remember. I really like the imagery of her screaming into her cupped hands and it creating the big purple ball of fire.
Let's see. Looking at it right now. Oh, there's a little babality where she tries to fly and falls down and fails and screams. They're always so adorable. I love all the babalities in 9.
Okay, yeah, she shoves it into your mouth and your, head blows up. Purple light shoots out of your eyes, ears, and mouth.
That is a good one. Those are both really good, honestly.
Yeah, I really like them.
Fuck, I might be about to go, 2 sections in a row, not picking old school MK3 is my favorite thing for something.
Well, I'll tell you my favorite fatality. It's her one in Mortal Kombat 12, where she flies all around you in a circle while screaming at you in all directions. I just think that's a really cool blend of her two moves, her flight and her screaming.
The imagery in that one is pretty neat, because there's a thing in 12 where when she goes all out with her powers, her hair sticks out in every direction like a monstrous wig.
Or it almost looks like a comic of a Marvel comics, Looks like a comic cover.
Her hair gets like super huge when she's like doing fatalities and win poses and stuff in 12, and I think that is an interesting thing. I do think, like, in terms of like using her powers and the effect they have on the body, I do really like the original where her screaming causes your skin to like vibrate away into nothing.
That's always going to be the one that I probably think of in a positive light when I think of her retros, but I might like the Deception version of it just a little bit more, which is where she screams at you, and like it's arms first, then your legs and your head and torso just fly apart in quick, short order.
When I see that one, what I think of is Fujin in MK4. So I feel like Sindel has stolen Fujin's fatality, and that's why I can't really go for that one.
Well, you just ruined it for me. Thanks for that. Can't say you're wrong. Can't at all. Don't like her other one in Deception either, where she just kind of pops you up with the Quan Dao and turns into a blender.
Yeah, that one feels kind of like stolen from Cyrax, almost.
It's very silly. I don't like it.
I miss Cyrax's dreadlock helicopter a lot. He doesn't use it anymore, except for, like, I think Cameo Cyrax in 12 uses it to, like, fly around when he's attacking?
I believe so.
I can't remember for sure, but I think that's a thing.
I think that's right.
The fatality version of it, chopping you up, hasn't been in a thing since 3, and I miss it.
So her 11 fatalities, the first one's that one where they really try to put the hair physics to good use and have her impale you through the mouth and the eyes and the kneecaps and...
Yeah, she snakes strands of hair through every part of your body.
It's pretty gross and pretty awesome, honestly.
I appreciate it from, like, a graphical achievement point of view, but it makes me really uncomfortable. I don't care for the ones where she uses her hair in the modern games.
And 11 gives us another take on the screaming at close distance, because she grabs you with her hair again, starts screaming until like your entire lower half and most of your skin falls off, and then shoots a fireball through the rest to blow it apart. I gotta say, they're both pretty damn good.
It's not bad. The thing is, though, you know how we feel about, like, when you die in multiple stages, or when the first thing they do in a fatality has already killed you, but then they keep doing more stuff.
Yeah, it's overkill, literally.
Yeah.
I do feel like they might have just barely been able to... Because it looks like they're kind of hanging on to the point of being near death, but they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I like it better when it's like, she screams, and you die. Your skin comes off, and you're dead. I don't need, like, one thing pops, and then another thing pops, and then a third thing pops, and then finally you're dead, or whatever it is, you know?
This first one in MK1, where she, like, pops the arms off, shoves the hair through the sockets to lift you up.
Yeah.
And then just pulls the entire head and spinal cord out with her bare hand. It's weird and disjointed.
That's more of that stuff where it's like, look, I see it. Your hair graphics are very, very good. Congratulations. That's gross and I don't like it.
The other one, Tabmok, the one that you brought up, flying around them and screaming and, like, them coming apart at the end with, like, one last big explosion. That's pretty good, though. That's pretty good.
There's also an element of it of, like, as the games go on, and a lot of these fatalities kind of do the same attacks, but in different arrangements and combinations. The new ones kind of blend in and become forgettable, and you are always going to default to the first time you saw it happen, you know?
That's true.
In past Lost, we've covered every single brutality that they do in X and 11 and whatnot. That's probably too many to list here, considering that she's been in 2 separate games, and...
Yeah,
To briefly summarize them, she's got one where she screams at you while you're down, and another one where she stabs you through with her hair, and there's probably no need to, like, enumerate these. It's the usual stuff you'd expect. Blowing a limb off, blowing a head apart.
Yeah, the thing is, there are so many brutalities in the games that unless you can remember a specific one because you really, really like it,
It's probably not worth bringing up.
yeah. Several brutals are recreations of old classic fatalities, and I like those.
Yeah, those are the best.
Yeah, those are generally the
always
coolest
nice.
ones because, they're...
They hit the nostalgia buttons in the right ways.
Yes. Those are the kinds of member berries that I don't feel like are empty and exploitative.
So Tabmok, your favorite one is the flying around from 1? 12, sorry.
That's my vote.
All right, Razor?
Let's see. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna say it's screaming in their ear until half their head blows up from 9.
Okay. For the sake of variety, and because it actually does make me uncomfortable, and depending how it's done, uncomfortable to me means good, like Noob's Wishbone. I'm gonna go with the 11 hair strands through every conceivable socket ripping you apart. That's nasty in a good way. I like it.
Fair enough.
Do we have anything to say about animalities like giant wasps and things and the like?
I appreciate the wasp because, it's a creature that flies.
Yes, that feels right.
And its wings, like a giant wasp, the one they animated in the game, the buzzing of the speed of the wings, I get how that connects to, her screaming and making noise and whatnot. So, I get how the wasp fits Sindel's character. I honestly don't know what she has in 12.
Well, I just looked at it and she turns into a giant spider. And she bites you through the head with her pinchers.
Do they do anything with webbing? Because that would connect to her hair and then I would see it.
No, she just pounces on you, starts biting your head with pinchers while she lifts you up into the air.
Okay.
Webbing's coming out of her butt, and...
Well, so there is webbing.
There is webbing, but she doesn't use it on the person.
Okay.
She's just, hanging
It would be
from
more, like a reference to how she used her hair to grab you in 3 if she wrapped them in the webbing, you know?
I mean, we want to talk about member berries. I would have just redone every single original animality and kept them for the characters, but...
Yeah, I'd seen the spider, but I think the wasp is more fitting.
Here's another thing. Is it a Black Widow spider? Because then you'd have she's a woman whose husband always dies.
It just seems to be large and purple. There's no symbol.
That's a shame. If it had been a Black Widow, I'd get the joke, but that's disappointing.
Rips you apart with her front legs and after the biting. It's not a bad animality, but yeah, the wasp worked better.
Oh, there is actually one more thing, because she was in 11.
Is there?
What was her friendship in 11?
Screaming and breaking wine glasses.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad.
That was cute.
I'll be honest. I actually had an idea for doing something like that back in the MK Deception era. I thought that would be a really cool thing to kind of animate. I never got around to doing it, and of course, seeing it in the games is awesome.
Yeah. That's a cool one.
That's very fitting.
Yeah.
I
like the football punt, that was fun from MK3.
Oh my god, how do we not bring that the fuck up? It's really notable.
Breaking glass with a scream does make more sense.
It's so weird how the goddamn football just fucking morphs out of the ground. It just forms out of the flesh of the earth. That was fun is always a weird one to me because it's so much more of a usual sentence than we hear, you know?
Yeah. It's the longest. Get over here and are roughly the same length, but there's probably more syllables in the Raiden screams.
Whatever they are.
Whoa, oh no! When they're slipping on the ice.
Oh, yeah. No!
She doesn't break that wine glass in the 11 Friendships. She screams around it and breaks the screen. Then she drinks the wine.
Yeah, the glass doesn't break, but the camera does. That's actually a good bit.
That's talent.
I want to say they were gonna have Shang Tsung, in MK2, when he does his win pose, hands on his hips, and then he laughs. They were gonna have, audio for the laugh, and they just,
It's in the game, I think.
Yeah, I think they just left it out to save space, or didn't finish coding it in or something.
Pretty sure every single Mugen hack and, mods of the actual arcade ROM have inserted it back in, because it's just too good to let go.
Yeah.
Alright, I think that actually does finish us off.
Yeah, that is Sindel.
Well, Razor, Shad, Thank you both for having me on, guys. This has been Tabmok99, your special guest here on the Netherkast. So happy to be part of this episode. Thanks for having me on to discuss Sindel.
Thank you for joining us.
We've been very happy to have you.
We only talked about it for years and years, but we finally did it. It's happened.
It took a long time to get here, so it's...
Oh, God, it's finally done.
But yes, it was great to have you on, and if there's another character in 3 or 4 years that you love to join us for again, please...
I'll reach out.
Don't be shy.
It's been our honor and pleasure.
Yeah, well, thanks again, guys. It's been so much fun. It's been a blast.
Thank you for joining
Indeed.
us.
Yes.
And on that note, thank you all for listening, for tuning in, as always. Join us next time on The Lost when we explore strange exotic forms of Australian wildlife.
Oh, are we doing Cabal next?
Don't spoil it, damn it.
It's gonna be in the thumbnail, alright? I mean, you can edit that part out. Oh.
Too slow. Alright.
See you later, nerds.
Have a nice day. Osriem. Mom,